I'm stuck in between the rails, which means I need to destroy the rails to get out, which means I destroy the curve. Can't you just re-leak the section at 10 degrees? You know what? I'm done. That's enough. That's enough. Because if I go there and I sit there and I try to redo it right now, I'm gonna want to redo the whole curve. So don't worry about it. It's fine. Someone said there was a respawn. Yeah, well, that curve sucked anyway. I can make it better. We'll do that next time we play. All right, I'm gonna take 5 here, guys. This will be a short break, so I'll just get a short video. Let's see. What do we want to show? Trains? I don't know. Here. Jam handy. Here we go. I'll be back in a second.
Operations like these require long hours of intensive drilling and careful judgment. When the troop goes around the corner, the riders on the outside of the turn have to adjust their speed to keep even with the riders on the inside. The man on the outside has to ride a lot farther and a lot faster in order to keep up with the parade. The outside wheels must spin faster than the wheels on the inside because they have a greater distance to travel in the same length of time. When a wagon turns a corner, the wheels can travel at different speeds because each one can turn freely on the axles. And in the early automobiles, the rear wheels turned separately and only one wheel was connected to the engine. But when only one wheel was driven by the engine, it had to do all the work, and it couldn't get a good enough grip on the road to do its job properly. So the one-wheel drive was soon out of date. But if two wheels are locked on an axle so that they are not free to turn separately, one or the other has to slide. So engineers had to find a way to connect both rear wheels to the engine without sliding and slipping on turns. The device which makes this possible is a part of the rear axle. It is called the differential because it can drive the rear wheels at different speeds. The differential looks complicated, but once we understand its principle, it is amazingly simple. These two wheels are mounted on separate axles and supported by a frame so that they can revolve freely at different speeds. Let's fasten a spoke on the inner end of each axle so that by turning the spokes, we can turn each wheel separately. With a bar or crosspiece, we can turn both wheels in the same direction at the same rate of speed. Let's get something to hold this bar in place so that it will press against the spokes. Notice that this support is not locked to the axle. It turns freely. Now we can spin the wheels by rotating the support. This is fine as long as both wheels are able to turn at the same speed. But let's see what happens when we go around the corner. With this arrangement, we cannot drive one wheel faster than the other. And if we stop one wheel, the other wheel won't budge. Let's put this bar on a pivot so that it can swing in either direction. Now, the bar can still turn both wheels at the same speed. And because it pivots, it lets one wheel turn even when the other is stopped. But if turned too far, the bar will swing around until it won't drive the spokes that turn either wheel. We need another crossbar and more spokes to carry on the job. When we stop one wheel, the crossbars will continue to push the spokes of the free wheel around. As long as both wheels are free to turn, the bars do not swing on their pivot, and the wheels move at the same speed. Now we have the working principles of a differential. To adapt the model for use in an automobile, we will have to make a few changes. In order to reduce the jerky action caused by wide spaces between the spokes, we will put in more spokes. Further filling in the spaces between the spokes gives steadier, more continuous action, and changing the shape gives firm, constant contact. Now we can make the gears thicker and stronger, and we have differential gears. The edges are cut so that they will fit together more smoothly and silently, and another gear is added to share the work of driving the axles. The principle is the same. In order to turn the support and drive the wheels, we can fasten a large gear here, connected by a smaller gear to a source of power. Notice that the power is connected to the differential at the center line. We can make our model more compact by moving the gears closer together. When we put our differential in an automobile, we have to leave room for the drive shaft, which carries the power from the engine. We may build the floor of the car above the drive shaft. But if we do, we won't have much room inside unless we make the top of the car high, too. Of course, we could lower the floor and ceiling, but the drive shaft would be higher than the floor. This would have disadvantages. A shaft in the middle of the floor of an automobile would be inconvenient for passengers and would be awkward for carrying luggage. Today, engineers have found a way to make the car roomier and closer to the road without a clumsy shaft above the floor. The drive shaft from the engine to the differential is lowered out of the way, and the drive shaft is connected to the rear axle at the bottom. The new low center drive makes the rear axle quieter, stronger, and more durable because it gives better, smoother contact between the gears. The automobile of today, with the low center drive, is stronger and more rugged. Every part of the rear axle has been built to withstand strains far greater than it will ever meet on the straightaway or around the corner. Meet Mr. Archimedes of ancient Greece. Long ago, Archie said,
"Give me a lever long enough,
and
I can move
the world."
What Archimedes?
All right. That one's on transmissions, guys. Yeah, but how about having more spokes? More spokes!
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Why you gotta do me like that with railroads online earlier also high? What? Should have started with that one. Give me a lever and I will move the world. That transmission one is really good. Yeah, I suppose we should probably engine, transmission, drive shaft, differential would probably be good. Huh? Sorry. Freaking. Alright, so, space news. Any news on KSP2? No. They've been periodically releasing dev updates and stuff, so... You once had to weld in a transmission, am I right? Huh? Nearly? Weld in a transmission? No. I dropped one. The one's still in my truck to this day, but it landed on a piece of wood, so it's okay. Yeah, the diff was all messed up, but yeah. Is the FAA still on track to be done by the end of the month? Should be. Dude, like, I have to sift through all this, and there's so much stuff to sift through to, like, even find the space news. My Twitter feed is just peppered with all kinds of stupid stuff. Alright, let me, what's that, Sawyer? And yeah, it's annoying because I usually get space news from there. Everybody posts about, oh wow, that's nice. Everybody posts about, like every company puts, man, I can't even think straight. Holy crap, dude, this is bad. I still have a lot of stream to go, and we got a race tonight. Give me 1 second. I gotta refocus. I gave up looking for space news for the past week. Yeah, okay, that's where I was going with that. Usually every company posts updates about, space news, updates about this, updates about that. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, all it's been lately is, like, Boeing and everybody else is supposed to, we stand with Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. It's just that. It's just that, and it's just all been that. So... Oh my God. Why the fuck do I even try? Geek, why the fuck do I even try? Fuck Twitter. Fuck that website. Like, please do better. Fuck you. Don't fucking try to fucking take the moral high ground. Eat my ass. Can I fucking go one fucking day without being morally grandstanded about something? It happens all the fucking time. Like the other day, I was on Twitter, and somebody posted a picture of one of the memes that the Ukrainian Twitter account is posting, and I'm like, wow, it's crazy. Memes are gonna be in the history books, and the fucking guy had the nerve to fucking reply to me and say, this isn't memes. This is a very real thing. No shit.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Okay, whatever. It's pronounced May. Hey, geek, thanks. Appreciate it. Vickers, it's not anything like that, dude. It's just... I just don't really like it when people assume they know everything about me. That's really annoying. Yeah. It's really annoying. Yeah. It just seems to be the kind of the case, but fake it, whatever. People are gonna assume things about you anyway. You can't really do anything about it. See, last, I've asked about tours down in Savannah. What's up, dude? Never mind about the sub-mentions earlier. They're a bigger fish right now. Hope your day gets better. Yeah, no problem, 2020. I don't know what you mean. When in doubt, talk about the shuttle. No, it's just... It looks... What is that? 2 minor NASA things with the Europa Clipper happen. Yeah, Kizek, I'm trying to have some fun with the situation. Be a little bit, comically relief, a little bit of comic relief, and just... People are too tone deaf to pick up on the fact that, I'm kidding. You know what I mean? Like, no more hopium over the airplane, and then, oh, well, if all you care about is an airplane. Like, are you too tone deaf to freaking see that? Like, not you guys, it's just... Like, I know that person. That person watches the stream. I know that person, and it's really annoying that they didn't give me the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? You're gonna like, I know that person. That person has been watching the stream for years, like years, 5+ easily, and. It's annoying. It's not Twitter. Like, I get the Twitter drones, but the fact that I know that person and they wouldn't give me the benefit of the doubt, and they would rather use that as an opportunity to make themselves feel better. Like, oh, well, people are dying. Did you know that? You care about a plane. The fact that they would use that opportunity to make themselves look better, like, it's really annoying, actually. It's really annoying. I've had conversations with all these people, and I remember them. And like, if that's, you give me the benefit of the doubt. Nope. That's what 5 years of viewing the stream has come down to. Just please do better. Oh, all right. Some aviation streamer was like, I'm so upset that people are valuing the 225 over human lives. That's what I mean, Crash. How tone deaf can you freaking be? Like, are people that thick to not realize that we get it? There's war going on, and we don't want the plane to get wrecked. But to even insinuate for a second that means that we value an airplane over human lives is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It just sounds like a way for people to make themselves feel like they have the pseudo moral high ground. It's really annoying. I'm really getting sick of it. It's happening a lot lately. No, you know what, human? I wouldn't take it so personally. The Twitter drones usually don't bother me, dude. They really don't. The fact that I know this person, the fact that this is a viewer, really, that hurts. It hurts. It hurts a lot. This is a person like every one of you guys that I've had conversations with. We've had deep conversations about this stuff, and they didn't even bother to give me the benefit of the doubt. It's just, nope. Got to use this opportunity to make myself look like a good person. It's like, you know, like, are we supposed to do the opposite of that in this day and age? Like, I was always taught to not assume anything about anybody, especially somebody that I know, but maybe this is what I get for delving into Rule 8 stuff. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's not just that. It's just been happening a lot lately. You know, like, I'm trying to be more active on Twitter, just so, you know, like, you know, because it's a good way to talk to you guys when I'm not streaming or something, you know, like Discord is too. I'm trying to be more active on Discord as well, but I don't know, man. I'm probably just shut up, dude. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth the mental effort, you know what I mean? I'm sick of being railroaded by people that think they, you know, that want to show the world that they're a more empathetic person than me, you know? More empathetic than the guy that devotes his freaking life over the past decade to helping people learn and understand things. Yeah, okay. Yep, you have the high ground. You have the moral high ground. Good for you. Sorry, guys. I didn't want to turn this into a confessional. It's freaking annoying. I'll get back into space news. Anyway, let's see what else we got. So NASA's studying the lunar samples there. Here, let's take a look at what Astra's doing. Nah, it's Steiner. It's not. This is more it boiling to a head, dude. This stuff usually doesn't bother me, and even if it does, I usually don't tell you guys about it. It's just I've been very forward with Rule 8 stuff since this whole war started, because it's so heavily intertwined with the space program, you know, like. And I'll be honest, I don't really want to talk about it. Like, my hand has been forced, you know, so I start telling people the truth, and I start telling people to be objective about things, and I don't think it's any correlation, or I don't think it's causation that people are starting to railroad me, you know? And I never wanted to get into this position, dude. Sure, 2020, what's up, dude? I asked you earlier to shoot me a message when you started playing it, laying in some rail with you and hanging out, but like I said, you asked me earlier to shoot you a message. Did you shoot me a message on Discord or something? I don't know. I'm sorry. No, I wonder if the same dude on our aviation is pulling the same... Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Do you guys want to keep hearing my input about this stuff, or would you just rather I do something else? You just tell me right now. Well, Hunster, what pisses me off is that person has been watching the stream a lot longer than a lot of you, and you didn't shoot me a message. It's just. You didn't shoot me a message. You got to do it, and you got to do it publicly. You got to show how good of a person you are. It's really annoying, actually. And I'm not trying to, like, brigade people about, It's not like I'm not trying to play games, dude. Like, the only games I want to play is video games. I'm not trying to play these freaking games. You appreciate it. You want my input. What space news in there? I'm all for you doing something else for completely selfish reasons. Yeah, Leg, no, I'm here. I hear you on that one. Does the people who make Electron plan on making other vehicles? Yeah, Flyke, and they plan on making Neutron. Longer than you? Actually, about the same. Little less time than you, Lego. That person started watching the stream 2015, somewhere around there. You appreciate the input. Everyone's kind of on the edge right now, some more than others. And Human, the absolute first thing I said last week when this started is that it's very important to not look at things that are like diametrically. Meaning it's not input and output. It's not 1 and 0. It's not black and white. This is a very complicated thing, what's going on. And how it pertains to the space program is even more complicated. So slow your fucking roll and don't jump to conclusions. But, yeah. Dude, if you ever need to vent, shoot me a message on Discord. Your mental health comes first. Yeah. Roll. Slowed. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I don't have another agenda when it comes to political stuff. I just want to tell you what's going on because I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and it's hard, man. And the only reason I'm even doing it is because I'm trying to see how it pertains to the space program, because I know people are going to ask me. I don't like analyzing political science. It's not fun because it's complicated. It's really complicated because there's social aspects to it, and without like. So now you're getting into discussing different point of views, right? So people have different political views on things because of stimuli that they've had over the years, right? So if somebody grows up in, like, I don't know, like on the coasts or something, they're going to have a certain type of viewpoint. Now, don't get me wrong, it varies, and that's what makes this complicated. There's a lot of variations. There's a lot of different points of views. There's a lot of different perspectives. And I'm not saying that one is equally more valid than the other. Like, I'm not saying that how somebody looks at things on the coasts of the U.S. is the same as how someone, or like more valid than how somebody looks at the center of their country. Everybody has a point of view. It's just a data set to be analyzed. The problem with political science is that there's so many freaking variables. There's so freaking many. It's really hard to quantify it. And I think, yeah, that's what's like, it's tough. It's really hard to figure out what's going on. And the conflict that's happening overseas, dude, I don't understand the relationship between Russia and the Ukraine. I have no freaking clue. I thought they were cool up until this point, but the more and more I read about it, it's very clear that something else is going on there, like, and I don't know what that is, and I don't want to, like, dude, that's when this gets hard. It gets really tough because, trying to figure out stuff gets to be a pretty big rabbit hole, You can extrapolate a lunar program. Dude, it's Spiffy, that's way easier. Rocket science is easier than political science, man. I've been watching your stream since Das raided you one day, and honestly, you can do whatever you want. How you do things is what's keeping me here. Your Osman, yes, I know this sounds stupid, but just because things happenings are connected doesn't mean you suddenly need to discuss a political opinions on stream. You know what, Raz? That's a really good point. That's a really good point. No, it's 2020. I'm fine. Sorry, I just needed to get that out. Like, guys, I think what I'm trying to get at is that, look, you know? Like, it's honestly just comes down to don't judge a book by its cover, especially if you know the person. Like, what happened to trusting people? Now, don't get me wrong. There's blindly trusting somebody, and then there's trusting somebody because you know. Like, would you trust your parents with telling a secret, right? Know that they wouldn't tell anybody. Yeah, of course. You know, like that. Honestly, that kind of behavior is not good. That's the kind of stuff I try to teach the opposite of that. You shouldn't judge things about people, especially if you know them. Politics evaded by regularly scheduled space programming. Yeah, spiffy. Yeah. All right. You clearly haven't gotten divorced. It's the worst kind of broken trust. I pray that never happens. I don't know, man. Anyway, sorry guys. I don't mean to rant. It's just, yeah. That's been bothering me, you know. Yeah, Dutch guy. Yeah, I mean, see, like, I could talk about what Roscosmos did this morning, and it's just like, all right. I can tell you the truth, and then we're right back to square one with this stuff. I can tell you what's going on. You know what? All right, fine. That's how we'll start Space News. Roscosmos took down the OneWeb Soyuz that was on the pad. They deintegrated it. They took it off the pad and they painted the letters that their invasion forces have on the Soyuz transporter erector. Yeah, there you go. There's your Space News. Yeah, you probably didn't like that. There you go. That's the truth. Spiffy, you're currently 211. You're a bit affected by the stuff, but I'm here for space programming. Yeah, I'll switch us back into gear. Am I allowed to swear a word? No. I gotta collect myself, guys. We'll jump back in. Anyway. All right, so let me load up the Starship Updates and we'll go from there. Yeah, but honestly, Spiffy, there's really not a lot of space news right now. There really isn't. Everyone is talking about political stuff. Everyone, like all the aerospace companies, they're all tweeting about how they, who they support, etc., etc. We're in solidarity with this. And there's not much space news right now. That's the honest truth. So I'll load up the Starship Update and we'll go from here. This is a tweet, though, here. Check this one out. This one's coming from Ben Brockert here. It looks like Astra is trying to get a launch in before their earnings report on the 17th. An Astra Facebook group spotted a video of them loading a rocket into a C-130, which is an urgent way of shipping a rocket that was designed to fit in an ocean-going cargo container. Well, C-130s were designed to fit Connexes inside of them. So, there you go. All right, another more Astra with its transporter erector on it. Yeah, makes sense. I was more trying to say that I'm here for Kerbal Space News than normal EJ. It's been hard lately, Spiffy. It's been really difficult. It's been really difficult. It's putting me in a crappy position, especially since I cover the Russian space program so much. It's like it's been hard. What I'm really trying not to do is weigh in on anything, Except space news. I'll tell you what I think with that all the time. It's just been tough lately. Just got in. Did you cover the AN 225? See what I mean? Username. I'm not trying to say that. People have been asking me about that thing all day. Yeah, I've seen it. see what I mean, dude? That's why it's just been tough, man. It's been really difficult. And don't get me wrong. Please don't turn your nose up at me. There are 1,000 bajillion people out there that have it way harder than me. It's just, I'm having trouble kind of adapting to this new news cycle. Because my rules are at odds with what's happening in the world. Yeah, I know. Sequels. Yeah. Could Astra fit? Could Astra's vehicle fit on a pylon? No, I don't think so. I'm sending you something on Discord. Yeah, you would. Do you think Astra buying a C-130 is beneficial? Did they buy a C-130? First of all, fellas, that's not a C-130. That's an L1. It's an L100J. Yeah, differences. I think it's an L100 or LM100. Yeah, it's an LM100J. That's not a military transport. That's an LM100J. It's a civilian C-130, so all the mil stuff is out of it. It just has regular airplane, like civilian airplane stuff in it. So like this one, an LM100 doesn't have a chaff launcher, it doesn't have flares. You don't have hookups for like solid rocket motors and stuff. When did they add the M? Probably when they became Lockheed Martin, if I had to guess. KSP question. I'm trying to design a 9 Kerbal plus science module cupola moon ground base that's launched in one shot. This outpost must be fully assembled when launched. Is that a new contract requirement? It's been in there for a while, Inky. Or do you? I mean, I'd take one of those. LM100s are cool. Very cool planes. I don't have the track for airdropping with parachutes. Yeah, it's basically a C-130 light. It's a C-130 light. Yeah, that's an LM100. I wonder whose LM100 it is. Car Starbase question. Theory craft on how the tanker axle. God, it's Diet C-130. Yeah. What is this? Lampadre VR cam catches a small fire that erupts on a methane tanker's axle at approximately 4 a.m. Central Time. Okay, let me take a look. I don't know, Sawyer. What am I looking at here? Oh. Okay. Yeah. Brakes. It's the brakes, dudes. Yeah, the brakes on semi trucks, especially the trailer brakes, they get very hot. Yeah. I think, and sometimes they drag. Sometimes they can do that. Remember, it's a pneumatic braking system. So if one of them pneumatics failed, the brake is just going to contact, and the truck is able to make enough torque that the brakes will just do what I call self-clearancing over time. That self-clearancing makes a lot of heat. Yeah, it's just a brake. They catch on fire. That happens with trucks all the time. What's burning though? The brake material, dude. Brake material is graphite. It's flammable. Very flammable. It's not supposed to catch on fire, but that's not usual for flat ground though, is it? Don't they usually only catch fire going down steep hills? I mean, if he's carrying a full load of methane, Yarg, and the brake's old, then maybe. Heck, yeah, I mean, it could be a bunch of different things, dudes. The brake could have caught on fire, and, okay, so the brake could have already been on fire, and trailers also have air ride on them. Some trailers have air ride. So, Yarg, if the brake caught on fire and made enough heat, right? Guys, thank you for the bits and the subs. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry for complaining about things. I don't like doing that. So Yarg, if the brake is hot and there's an airbag next to it with oxygen in it because it's atmosphere, and it heats that up and it pops, you're gonna get an explosion like that. Now the real question is, did we see the truck move around? Did the suspension collapse when it popped? I can't tell. Here, let's take a look. No, it doesn't look like it. Now, the other thing, okay, so let's think about this. There's other things in this area. Let's think about all the systems that are on a trailer like this, right? So what do you have? You have power. Why do you have power? Well, this is liquid methane, so there's a reefer attached to the back. No, not that. There's an air conditioner attached to the back of these things. How do we know that? Well, there's heat exchangers underneath the trailer right there. That's to keep the propellants cold. So, okay, what else would be moving around in this? So you have refrigerant being moved around between the reefer and the heat exchangers. You have a power line, most likely, to turn that thing on because you have to plug it in and it picks up on power from the truck. So there's a power line there. A duct. Also could have been a hydraulic line popping. There's no hydraulics on this. There's no hydraulics here, Geek, is there? There wouldn't be a hydraulic on a reefer truck like this. On a liquid reefer truck, would there? It's pneumatic. Pneumatic brakes. You have refrigerant, you have power, you have the pneumatic system. It's the only thing I could think of is that the brakes heated up and popped something back there. That's what it looks like. Or, yeah, I mean, bearings. Yeah, RB, that's another good point. If the wheel bearing on the wheel broke, if it failed, right, and they do fail, they get sand and junk in them, and then they jam, and then they heat up, and it melts it. If that lights the grease on fire on the axle, that stuff happens, and if that gets hot enough, it'll pop an airbag, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. As long as the methane truck didn't blow up or anything, I don't think it's a problem. No, trucks don't have hydraulic brakes, guys. They have a pneumatic brake, just like in Railroads Online. Same like Betsy, the little locomotive. That one doesn't have a pneumatic brake, but trains have pneumatic brakes like trucks. They're very similar. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's where trucks got the idea from. Yeah, exactly, Synerd. Yeah. Synerd, yeah, you would know this. If you see discoloration on the bearing, so if you have a bearing that's made out of metal and you take it out and it's blue, that means it got really freaking hot, enough to heat treat the metal, which means, yes, hot. Exactly, Tony, yeah. So I don't think there's any hydraulics back there. You have refrigerant, you have power, and you have the pneumatic system. Maybe they were using alcohol spirits as a refrigerant. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Betsy has a mechanical brake. Yeah, Betsy is not a pneumatic brake. Sorry, I had to go back and picture it in my head. It's a mechanical drum. Did we see the extinguishing part? I don't know. Let me take a look. Huh. Or is it the Olympic flame catching a ride? Could be that. Uh-oh. Yeah, see, this is when the guy hit it with an extinguisher. Security guards in the trucker didn't seem to think it was that big of a problem, so... Yeah, I think the brakes. I think that's just bad brakes. And Yarg, I don't know, man. Maybe the brake got stuck. That does happen. The brakes do get stuck on trucks. They bind. It does happen.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Opture, 43-month resub. It wouldn't be that much of a problem if the tanker's empty. Well, he's indicating load there, Synerd, so the load placard says it has methane in it, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that it has methane in it. Yeah. Yeah, fellas, I think that's just a break. If there was any cause for concern, honestly, the trucker and the security guards wouldn't be shining a flashlight on this. If there was cause for concern, I'd stay away from that. It is a truck full of rocket fuel. Yeah. Don't go near that. I think the brake just overheated. They do, dude. They spontaneously combust. It happens all the time. And ask any trucker. This happens. Sometimes they bind up. Sometimes they fail. Hang on, I saw something. I want to rewind a little bit. It's much more likely a bearing. All you got to do is hit a rock and get an unlucky shot, and you can lose a brake cylinder. Yeah. Yeah, true that. If it's a major threat to boom, the only person that would get close. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got it. And guys, that footage is coming from Lab Padre. I think it's just the trailer. The trailer broke. Yep, and see, here you go. Here we go. You know, we pointed out the bad of Twitter. Now here's the good one. Rose knows what's up. The company will look into it. Well, it says this company will be looked into. But anyway, when their trucks were last serviced, the axle can heat up between 850 and 900 Fahrenheit, at which point the tires can combust. The employees is facing the company is too valuable. No, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Was that entering Starbase? It's entering. There's guys dropping off fuel. Saw my first ever case of a rod through an engine block. Thankfully not my car. All I could say is yikes. Yeah, Draco, it's almost like what goes on inside of these engines is a bunch of explosions happening in very rapid succession. Yeah, it's a lot of power. It's enough to move you around. It's a lot. That's a lot of energy being consumed. I'm guessing you wouldn't want to shoot the tank to release pressure in that case. You forget how bad Twitter is most of the time. No, I'm just annoyed, so I'm letting it bother me more than it should. Stupid human emotions. Ugh. Just annoying. Give me 1 second. Frick Rose, yeah, no. Your space news. What's that, fun sister? I can't find any milk for my coffee. In space, no one can hear you scream. Okay. Yeah, pun tax. Pun tax. Come on. Pun tax. It's like the swear jar. Come on. Come on, you know what to do. Did you see these photos yet?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Let me guess. The Antonov 22. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I've seen them. Oh, RB, there's a good example. Nice. Yeah, I've seen it, dudes. She's gone. I said I was waiting for proof, and it's gone. Yeah, it's all right. It's just an airplane. It's just an airplane, dudes. Can be replaced. Did you know they did helicopter on Mars? Yeah. Go activated. I actually was thinking about trying to spin that whole thing into a positive thing. How so? I'll make one in KSP. Yeah, I'll make a 225 in KSP. Yeah, that, like, I'm talking, like, real, like, hard EJ build. And, like, make it do all the things that the real one does, you know? Need a ticker saying you've seen the 225? Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. Like, I don't know how we'd make the nose go up, but, I'm not really sure how we'd do a cargo bay either, to be honest with you. Yeah, Geek, if he was dropping off low, I'm telling you, the brake malfunctioned. That's it. The brake malfunctioned. That's all. That happens. Like, and it's hilarious to me that somebody tried to take the high ground. Oh, the company needs to be investigated. Yeah, that person doesn't live in reality. Yeah, that person does not realize that parts wear down over time. It happens. Put a Collins on the back? Well, yeah, maybe. The 229, yeah, the 225 is with Buran, which is fine. Dude, if you make it carrying your shuttle, please. Well, guys, a long time ago, I made a 747. What is this? Get off the screen. Why do I have notifications? Okay. All the windows minimized on all the computers. That's good. That's good. Just bring everything back. There's OBS. Yep, all right. What was I talking about? Dude, I am having the worst time trying to focus today. It's terrible. Is the plane gone forever? No fixing it? DJ, you know me. I'm usually pretty optimistic about this stuff. That plane's toast. You could probably salvage parts off of it, but ask any airline mechanic, dude. Okay, that plane it was on fire, it was ripped in half, so all the parts on that plane were exposed to extremely high heat. The parts of the plane that didn't burn down were exposed to extremely high heat, so you could screw with the molecular composition of the plane. And if you do that, now you're normalizing deviance there. It's the same type of thing as Challenger. This is why you really don't, like, they don't, like, if a plane crashes or something, they just take everything and scrap it. Or they use it for an accident investigation and then get rid of it. Or they put it in a bunch of nice boxes. The thing is that the 225 looks like it caught on fire, and it looks like fuel caught on fire next to it. And, yeah, that's... I would, like, maybe you can reuse some of these parts, but you're gonna have to, okay, so you got to take apart all the pieces that you can take off of the plane, like you got to take the wings off, right? You got to take the tail off, right? You got to take all these pieces off, and then you have to test them to make sure that they're within tolerances. Now, how you do that, I don't know. I don't know what the Soviet Union did to make sure that those parts were in tolerance to begin with. I'm sure there's a manual somewhere. I'm sure there's a maintenance book that'll tell, like how the wing box should work and how all the pieces on the plane work, but you'd have to basically verify every single thing. This is why, and oftentimes, like, if there's a train or a car, cars are actually not too bad. You can reuse parts on crashed cars or junk cars. I take parts out of the junkyard all the time. But I have to verify that they freaking work. With a car part, though, it's really simple, because car parts are simple compared to something that flies through the air. It's almost like you're asking physics to do more, right? So you're going to really have to make sure, like, dude, I'm positive that they'll, if and when Ukraine gets around to building that thing, building the other one, because there is another one. They can rebuild it. There's another fuselage. Like, the other plane was pretty close to being finished. It doesn't look like it from the pictures, but all the parts are there. They just haven't been put together. All the parts have been manufactured. They haven't been put together. So, like, you could part the junk plane and then use the second plane, serial number 2. You could use that as a new foundation, but you'd have to make sure that all the parts are good. So you'd have to make sure all the parts aren't heated up, because remember, the plane's made out of aluminum. Aluminum doesn't do well with heat. Not everything here reacts well to bullets. So yeah, DJ, she's gone. She's gone, and I don't think that there's any usable pieces there. But you'd have to take the whole thing apart and figure it out. But yeah, it isn't looking good. So what I think I should do is build one in KSP, but I'm just not exactly sure how we would do that. So the 225 is based off of an Antonov 124, okay? So what's an Antonov 124? It's a heavy cargo plane. Actually, you know what? It's built pretty much in the same exact manner as a C5, but it doesn't matter. Here, let me show you. So the thing about these planes is that they have what's called a hollow cargo bay. So if you take a look, right, there's one trying to eat an Atlas V core. So yeah, Antonovs have the same parts. The 124s have same parts. You might be able to part out a couple of 124s and build it that way, but so in the fact that, like, in the way that we were trying to make it in KSP, what you'd have to do, like, you could pick up the Atlas out the other side. Like, you can, the nose can open up and the back opens up too. That is a hard thing to accomplish, to have one cargo bay that goes all the way through. Like I said, the C5 does the same thing. The Galaxy does the exact same thing. You can go right through it. There's one trying to eat a Chinook right there. There's one trying to eat the Optimus Prime. That's good. There's one trying to eat a Pavlo. Yeah, that's nice. See, the 124s and Antonov 124s and Lockheed C5s are very similar. They're very similar design. I don't know if it was copied. I don't know who made it first. I don't really give a frick. There's one trying to eat a C-130 right there. But they both have hollow through cargo bays. Like, you can stand at the front of the plane and see out the back. I don't know how I would make that in KSP and make it so it actually occludes aerodynamics. We would need a fairing plate halfway through the plane. But it's possible. I mean, and when I say that, you know, the 225, C5, Antonov 124s, when I say they're big, I mean they are big. They are big freaking planes. All these planes are huge. Like, the 225 is not that much bigger than an Antonov 124, which isn't that much bigger than a C5. C5 and the 124 are pretty much the same size. They're, like, seriously, they're not copies of each other by any means. They're totally different, but they look similar in design, because it's almost like it's convergent. That's called convergent design, guys. It's not so much that one guy copied another, the U.S. copied the Soviets copied the U.S. It's convergent design. There's only so many ways you can move a freaking tank around in the air. There's only so many ways that you can do that. There's only so many ways you can get that done in airplane form. In rocket form, you probably could do it. It would just look a little different. Here's some B-roll of the LH2 tank testing from a little while ago. Oh, I'll check that out. Thanks, Novus. It's the meta. Exactly, Lazy. It's meta. Like, there's only so many ways that can get done correctly. That's the thing. Like, so, yeah, I'm not sure how I'd make the like full hollow cargo bay. I'm not sure how we'd do that. I'd either have to make it so the nose opens or the tail opens, and the tail would have to go all the way up, like what we did on the K-78. I'm not sure that we can do that. Is that a fuel tank that runs along the top of it? A fuel tank? No. No, the fuel is in the wings, dude. The wings are the fuel tank. A little while ago, somebody came up with the idea of just making the wing making the inside of the wing sealed, right? Because you need to make a shape. You need to make a shape that's kind of looks like a teardrop from the side, right? And somebody came up with the idea of just sealing the wings and putting fuel in there instead of carrying around a fuel tank. That's called a wet wing. Most planes do that nowadays. Yeah, most, if not all. Like, if you wanted to look at a cross-section of one of these heavy cargo planes, dude, like, say we looked at it from the front, there's like a fuselage up here, right? And that's where the cockpit is, right? Right? And then it's basically like this. That doesn't look right. Basically that, and then this is where the lower deck is, right? And then there's a little bit underneath right here. And then they bridge that gap so they look like this. It's basically two big planes stacked on top of each other. That's how these things are built. And of course, this is the cargo bay in here. This is where you put your tanks or your Jeep or your Chinook or your anything that fits in there. So, like, that top area is not fuel tanks. It's crew, basically. It's crew till about here. And then there's the wing box. The wing box is right here. So, like, there's a little passenger compartment, like, right here. And then the wing box is right here. And then all the systems that make this thing work are all back in here. And then the reason why that hump is right there is because there's a door right here. You need to structurally reinforce for the fact that you have a door. Doors in aircraft design are a weak point. That's a structural weak point. So usually see the spots where planes have doors or some type of big structural component, they're really built up. There's most likely a fuel tank in the top rear for ballast. On the C5, yeah, I mean maybe. Most planes have a center tank. There could be another fuel tank in there. Keep in mind, just like there's fuel tanks in the wings, there could be a fuel tank built into the structure back there. I don't know. I'd have to go look. Like here, let's just diagram. Let's take a look. Let's see what we can find. So, yep, there's your fuel tanks in there. Oh, pfft. There's more places to sit back there. Let me take a look. See what else we can find. Yeah, see, there's like a front crew compartment right there with a bunch of places to sit, right? And then there's more places to sit. Looks like there's a head right there, 115. Let me see if I can find that. Toilets. Oh man, it's got two. There's two toilets right there. Then you got a bunch of seats, right? And what's 130? Oh, the galley. Oh, there's a kitchen. Okay. What I'm really wondering is if you can see the wing box right there. That's the structure of the entire plane. The entire plane is built around this. So like, if we were gonna speak in Kerbal terms, guys, that would be your root part right there, 83. The whole plane is built around the wing box. Without that part, this plane falls apart like a Jenga tower. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a passageway through there. Unless, well, let's see what 72 is. There's probably maintenance access if I had to guess. I mean, these things are complicated planes, dude. And I'd be willing to bet that the Antonov, the 225, probably has something similar to this inside of it. Because once again, it's convergent design. Electrical equipment rack. 72 is forward cabin, rear bulkhead. Yeah, okay. So if you wanted to go to the aft section, you'd have to go down a level, go around, and go up a level. He said rack. It's destroyed, Cake. It's gone. We had footage confirmed this morning. And then look, see, there's a hump back here because of the door actuators. See? And then this is just hollow space back there. Why is it hollow space? Because if you put anything back here, you're going to screw up the balance of the plane. In fact, that's the reason why this exists right here. Because it's balancing over the plane. See that? And if you look, the bulkhead goes in front of the wings here, but the aft bulkhead behind the wing box goes to right here. It's all for balance, dude. Yeah, there's just hollow space back here. And then, yeah, as predicted, 168, there's a fuel tank back there for the APU and for balancing. So there's fuel lines that go between one wing. So you could probably cross-feed left to right, if I had to guess. You could probably cross-feed left to right here, and then you could probably cross-feed forward and back as well. So back tank to the right, back tank to the left. Usually, oh, what is it called? What's the tank called, guys? Boats have them. Like, it's a big fuel tank, and that feeds into a smaller fuel tank, and that feeds to the engine. It's not a ballast tank, Foz. It's called something else. Header tank. That's it. Yeah, header tank. Yeah, a day tank. Encode, day tank. Header tank is Starship. Yeah, there's a day tank most likely right here for balancing. If I had to guess. I mean, once again, that's just a guess. The 747 does something like that. 747s have 4 fuel. Actually, they have more than that. They have 4. So the main ones are right wing, left wing, center wing. And then 747s for balance purposes have an aft fuel tank that acts as a ballast tank. But ballast tanks aren't day tanks. Those are different. Yeah, see? The whole back of this is all structurally reinforced for that door right there. See? Look at that thing. Yeah. That's really... This part has to be really strong. Really strong. Like, look at the stringers. Look at how close the stringers are right there. Around the tail. And once again, the 225's probably built something like this. It's probably similar, if I had to guess. Once again, not because one's a copy or the other, it's just because convergent design. Like how an AN-12 and a C-130 look similar. They're similar planes. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar. See that? Look at all these stringers back there. Look at how reinforced it is because of that big freaking tail. That tail is huge. And on top of that, this I do know. C5s have what's called variable AOI on the back. So you have your elevators right here, and you have your horizontal stabilizers right there, and then you have trim tabs on top of that. And then on top of all of that, see this whole thing, 148 to 157? If this is the rudder, that whole thing can tilt. That whole thing tilts as an assembly. See the hydraulic for it right there, 146? That whole thing does this. You can change the angle of incidence because if you change the AOI on your elevators, you can move the center lift forward and back on the plane. Yeah, it really depends what AOI you channel in, depending on what you're carrying. If you have something that's asymmetric, right, and you can't line the center of mass of the payload right over the wing box with the center of mass of the plane, you'll start screwing with the AOI. .146 is the stability trim indicator. Tailplane pitch trim actuator. Yeah, that's changing. Yeah. Pitch trim is... Tailplane pitch trim is, yeah, plain way of saying it. It's changing the angle of incidence on the elevators, dude. AOI is what it's called. Yeah. And once again, I'll bet you the Antonov has that as well. It's probably, like I said, it's probably similar. In fact, you know what? Let's go check. Just for fun, because there's not much space news. Let's see. AN124 diagram. Yeah, it didn't really give us much. Well, I can't read. I do English good, do what more like. Yeah. Well, here's an Illusion. This is an IL-76. So IL-76s and IL-78s are kind of like C-141s or C-17s, but see what I mean about convergent design? You have a wing box right there. Same idea. You have a wing box. You have your fuel tanks in the same similar spots, right? I mean, this is a smaller plane than a C-5. Way smaller. But see, look, same thing. See how reinforced the stringers are in the back? It's all convergent design. Also, what a lot of people don't know about the Illusion planes and the AN-124s is that these planes have, the Antonovs have a gantry crane built into them. Yeah, which is really freaking neat. There's a gantry crane built into the top here. So, like, you can pick up cargo and drop it out the back. Not while it's flying. Yeah, there's a crane, so you can pick stuff up out of here, and you can move the gantry crane back, and they can open up the cargo doors, and you can pick it up and drop it down, which is pretty neat. I'm sure there's footage of it around somewhere working. In fact, I've shown footage of that gantry crane working on stream before. Here, let me take a look. Yeah, that's actually really similar. It's really close. All the doors are in the same spots. Here, let's go. Let's see if we can find a 225 diagram. I'm looking for like a cross-section view. Said crane. Oh yeah, there you go. You found a picture of it. Yeah, see? There's a freaking gantry crane in there. That's an aluminum gantry crane, though, which is really cool. It's really neat, because you wouldn't see a gantry crane built like that. It's basically like, hey, I want you to build a crane, and it has to be light. So I'm going to take a wing box and make it into a gantry. basically what it is, which is, once again, that's really cool. The pics you probably want. Well, let me take a look. Yep. Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah. Front of this is all, it's all 124. It's the same thing. Yeah. Pretty much the same. Yep. Yeah. To the untrained eye, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this and a C5. But yeah, look at the X-brace strut they have for the nose, because the nose has to be hollow, right? Like, has to be hollow. You have to be able to put the cargo back in. Yeah, that's hard to make in Kerbal, dude. Yeah, see? Open all the way to the back. I don't... From what I'm looking at here, though, it doesn't look like the 225 has a rear cargo door. Because the tail is different. But I could be wrong. I love how they have the phone number on the side like a moving van. Yeah. I don't know if the 225 has a rear door. Can anybody confirm or deny? Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, it absolutely does. See, because this looks like the back of the plane here. Oh, it's EJ Sadboy hours. No. I'm just... Well, Apatox, what I'm doing here is I'm looking for reference pictures for a 225. I want to see how feasible building it in KSP would be. Because I'm pretty sure that's what people would want. At least I think. That is a big cargo bay. So, like, okay, take a look, dudes. See what I'm talking about here? I don't think it has a rear cargo door. I could be wrong. I'm 99% sure the rear doesn't open. I'd say because of the extra structure needed for the tail. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's what, yeah, because it's got a redesigned tail. I'm kind of with you on that one. Dude, if it doesn't open from the back and only opens from the front, I can make that. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. That really won't be a problem. No. Getting the flight deck and the nose working correctly might be a little weird at first, but yeah, that's something we can do. According to the Wikipedia article, the rear door was removed. May I check? I believe you. I just want to double check. Yeah, see, there's all kinds of blisters back here for structure. See what I'm talking about? There's all kinds of... See these blisters right here? Those blisters on the back of the plane are there to reinforce something. That's structural reinforcement. Because they redesigned the tail. Oh, nice. You got me a picture. That's an Antonov 124. Tail's in the wrong spot. Here's a vid from the pilot of the Antonov with English subtitles. Yeah, let me check it.
Вас приветствует на своем канале. И, слушайте, обычно я рассказываю о небольших самолетах. И тут были как бы вопросы, может действительно попробовать что-то рассказать о
big
больших.
Freaking plane.
А если рассказывать о больших, с чего начать? Давайте
It could be
начнем с самого
Vaxhawk, yeah.
большого самолета в мире. На сегодняшний момент...
Alright, hang on. Trying to see the back of this frickin' thing.
так, а высота, по-моему, 4,4. Чуланчик.
That guy said this is the back of the plane, or this is the back of the plane.
Негерметичный отсек. И то, что у нас нету заднего груза люка.
Yeah, see, they put a big bulkhead back here for reinforcement.
Нельзя, это все нежное. И здесь же вход, лестница, технический состав, их помещения, которые наверху, они там живут.
Yeah. Yep. No rear cargo door. You can turn on subtitles and set it to English. Jerry, I know enough to know what he's saying. I get you. Thank you, though. Oh, there's manufacturing footage. Let's take a look.
Вот он понесет на своем борту имя Мрия. Прекрасное украинское слово. Мрия. Мечта. Как и неугомонность человека.
I just want to see the manufacturing. Yeah, okay. How'd you like that, Echo? What? Yeah, there's the fuselage. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that'd be difficult to make in KSP. That would be hard. I could do it, but it'd be difficult. It'd be much better just modeling the stupid thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it's feasible. It's definitely doable. Yeah, we can do that. Now you do it easy with the robotic stuff. It's not the robotics that I'm worried about. It's the shape. The shape would be really difficult to get right. I went to A&P school, and the AN-225 used to fly into the Joint Navy base close to our school. Got pictures of it. It's a big plane, Tin. Big plane. I dare you to do this. Nah, I'm good. Yeah. Yeah, no. I'm... You know what the funny thing is? Check this out. Convergent design, baby. This is what I'm telling you. There's only so many ways you can try to make a plane that lifts a space shuttle up from the top. Convergent design, dude. See what I mean? That was the early idea that they had for the space shuttle transporter, until they figured out that they could just lop one on the back of a 747 and it'd be way cheaper. It was a proposal until they came up with the 747 idea. What the frick? Antonov, you crazy. How many engines you want? To a degree, the Rock is also in that convergent design. That's right, Synerd. You're right. Nemetko, right at the 5-minute mark. Okay. Let me see.
opening nose and the lowering nose gear, which allows the aircraft to kneel when loading cargo.
Oh, we've stopped mourning it, Pythos. I want to learn more about the plane. I'm looking, dude, guys, it's gone. Plane's gone. Unlikely that anything is salvageable. Maybe some parts. Oh, I'm over it, dude. What I'm doing now is studying to see whether I can make it in KSP or not. If you really want to know. I want to see if we can make it in KSP, man. Here, let me see.
To kneel when loading cargo.
Yeah.
Engineers also changed the tail design from the AN-124. The single vertical stabilizer was switched to a twin tail with 2 vertical stabilizers and a larger horizontal stabilizer. This would provide better handling with the large payload on top of the aircraft. Construction of the fuselage, tail and the final assembly took place at Antonov's facilities in Kyiv. The wings and wing center were built by the state-owned Uzbekistan company Valery Chakalov in Tashkent and transported to Kyiv using an AN-22 transporter.
Oh.
The Buran spacecraft only flew one unmanned mission in 1988. It returned successfully, but even though future launches were planned, they never ended up taking place. Additionally, the collapse of the USSR led to the suspension of the space program, and 2 additional orbiters were never completed. The one existing Buran was stored
That's
in
their
Kazakhstan,
Smithsonian over there.
but it was destroyed when a hangar roof collapsed.
I don't want to hear the end of that story. I know the end of that story. I've seen this movie before. Yeah, that's Spire. Mm-hmm. Yep. What's with the bumps at the wing root? Yeah, all those blisters on the back, sort of. You know what? I said they were for structure, but I don't know. Weren't those bumps on the back the points where they attached to Buran? That far back on the tail, Leroy? No. I think Buran's attachment points are where that arrow is. I think they're right there. Buran didn't have the exact same attachment points as the shuttle. They were a little different. Link it again, Smirk, so I can find it. Oh, man. Dude, that plane is that's really cool looking. It's a really cool looking plane. He was saying it and you muted him. There are confirmation that the back door is removed. Yep. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Yeah, here, hold on. Yeah, see, look at all the wiring back there. I don't think this is the video.
Да, она пустая весит 250 тонн.
280. Даже сейчас уже 200, вот крайнее взвешивание 293 тонны. Это вместе с оборудованием дополнительным, имеется кран-балки. А стандартно самолет взвешивается, как бы вынимается. Вес пустого самолета считается без водила, без дополнительных колес, без цепей, без всяких, без кран-балок. Это приблизительно, сейчас скажу, сколько, 200, сейчас на 80, 1 с копеечками весит. Это вес самолета.
Но, с другой стороны, если учесть ее размеры, 280 тонн, насколько изящность конструкции и прочность конструкции была сделана, что я взял просто ради интереса, посмотрел, это 10 железнодорожных вагонов. Она приблизительно берет груза чуть меньше, чем 10 железнодорожных вагонов. Но это самолет с двигательной установкой, скажем так, сложность железнодорожного вагона и самолета, не надо там как бы уточнять, но вот изящность конструкции, прочности описаны из-за того, что...
да, к примеру, сейчас перевозили это как бы генеральный груз, то есть это все медицинское оборудование, это коробки были. И когда ты видишь, что для того груза, который загружен, подъезжает порядка 10-12 фур, и оказывается, вот ничего себе, думаю, так вроде как оно хорошо, компактно, тут все сложено в грузовом отсеке. Нормально, а потом ты смотришь, какой объем, да, действительно, и даже экипаж впечатляет то, сколько провезли. Ну, а действительно, то есть есть кадры, видно, насколько сейчас мы возили, мы практически занимали почти полный объем. Полный объем,
150
что-то метров кубических. Конечно, полностью его занять нельзя, иначе...
There it is, eating a train. Yeah, that's sure. Hey, don't food shame, all right?
Можно туда, да. Это для персонала, я так понимаю, что это где-то там легкая кабина, да, так?
Да, для технического состава. Да. Ну, здесь...
An aft crew compartment. Just like the C5. Like I said, convergent design, man. Same idea. Look, coat rooms even, closets even in the same spot. Yep. That's cool, man. It's a cool plane. I could make that. Yeah, we could make that. I'm pretty sure I can. Was that a transit train? Yeah. She was built to carry a shuttle. Would she handle and fly a lot? So she was built to carry a shuttle. Would she handle and fly a lot more challenging without it on top, i.e. balancing? No. Gully, the plane is built to fly first and carry things second. So Goalie, the thing is that when the 747 or the 225 were carrying shuttles on their backs, they lined up the center of mass of the shuttle with the center of mass on the plane. So if you're looking at it from the side, here. If you're looking at it from the side, the two center of masses coincide. The end result is basically the plane flies almost exactly the same, albeit a little bit heavier. Like here, take a look. The 225 does the same thing. The only reason I'm showing this is because, yeah, it's just an easier picture to find. So you know that the center of mass of the shuttle is by the S in the United States. We know that because of the landing gear. Center of mass is out in front of the landing gear. Because if it wasn't, when the shuttle went to land, it would nose up. And it doesn't. It noses down. So you know that the center of mass is out in front of the landing gear. It's right there. Pretty much, actually, it's pretty much right over the American flag. Somewhere in there. It varies, right? That is directly lined up with the 747 center of mass. And if the center of lift is, you know that the center of lift is always a little bit behind the center of mass, right? So if the center of lift is over here, which it pretty much is because it's got a swept wing, it's out and behind it. All you're doing is just raising that center of mass a little bit. And if you raise the center of mass, that just basically means you need a little bit more engine to get this thing to fly correctly, because that's going to affect your pitch. It's actually not really going to affect pitch too much. Your pitch control is going to suffer a little bit, but it's not going to be too big of a deal. Your distance to fulcrum, your distance from fulcrum, i.e. the elevators, is still the same distance for the most part. So it'll affect handling in that the plane will have a little bit more momentum. It'll be a little bit more stable, believe it or not. Basically, it won't want to change directions because you have this on the top. Did the shuttle generate lift when being transported to offset some weight? Yeah, Bill, most likely. But that probably really only comes into play when the 747 is going over 200 knots. Basically cruising, yeah. Probably not so much on takeoff. Yeah, like I said, center of mass of this plane's lined up with center of mass of that plane. Your center of mass should be a good, like, in a plane where you have your wings, when you have your engines underneath the wing, in this type of design, so like just picture a regular airliner in your head, right? 747, 737, A320, A340, A350, whatever. They all have the engines underneath the wing, and the wings are at the bottom. So that means the center of mass is always above the center of lift, right? Let me reverse that. So the center of mass is towards the front, center lift is behind it. If you take the center of mass of the plane and you move it up, that doesn't really change your fulcrum too much, because remember, lift is a force acting on the plane. Right? So if the center of mass is here and the plane takes off, right? The plane's going to want to nose into the ground. but it has the engines generating thrust to counteract that leverage, and that creates the most stable type of plane. That's why once again, it's convergent design. This was the best way to do it, or this is the best way to make a subsonic airliner. Question about the control surfaces. Were they somehow linked or fixed? It's fixed, Vaxok, on Buran and on the space shuttle. Yeah, no, you don't want these coming into play. That will screw up your center of lift. What you really don't want in this scenario is your center of lift moving this way or that way. Your center of lift moves in front of your center of mass, the plane wants to fly backwards. Your center of lift moves too far to the back, the plane will just nosedive into the ground. Simultaneously, you don't want to do that with your center of mass either, which is why the shuttle is kind of, if you look, the center of mass of the shuttle and the 747 are coplanar from the side. They're perfectly lined up. And they probably trim it out with the 747's fuel tank in the back to make sure that it stays nice and balanced. That's what a flight engineer does on an airplane. So you picture a cockpit in your head. You have pilot, co-pilot, and you have a flight engineer. On big planes, on big mothers like this thing, the flight engineer, in the particular case of the shuttle transporter, and also in the case of the 225, would have been moving the fuel around to make sure that the center of lift and center of mass stay in the right spots. Because if they fall too far out of alignment, the plane crashes. Can you see my last? The tail configuration on that 747 is special for the shuttle, right? Yep. Aside from doing stuff I don't understand to account for the shuttle, is there any reason why the tail configuration wasn't more widespread in commercial use for the 747? So uncapping... Okay. Everything that you see in this picture is there for a reason when it comes to the shuttle and the shuttle carrier and the 747. It's the same case with the Antonov. Everything is there for a reason because with airplanes they have to be as light as possible. So you put everything there for a very good reason. Now, okay, let's look at this. What's the difference between this and a regular 747? Well, obviously this thing on the top, that probably has something to do with it. And I know you know this, so just bear with me here, okay? That thing on the top has a lot to do with it. It's, I don't know, like a 60-ton orbiter or something. The thing's heavy. It's pretty heavy. Doesn't fly very well. So you're basically carrying a brick on the top, right? Okay. So what's other things that we see that aren't on a regular 747? This thing, right? A tri-tail. So you have two extra vertical stabilizers on the ends of the elevator, or the horizontal stabilizer in the elevator. Okay. So remember, not why did they do that? What are they trying to do? So the shuttle carrier has those things on the back, right? This thing. Okay. Well, why would they do that? That looks ridiculous. That's not the question, right? What are you doing? Well, you're trying to carry the shuttle around. You know that those things are there because this is there. Now, why? Why would those be there? Okay, so what do vertical stabilizers do? That's not a control surface, right? It doesn't do this. It doesn't deflect, right? It doesn't deflect air. Those aren't control surfaces. They're just fixed vertical stabilizers. So what does a vertical stabilizer do? It prevents what's called side slip with an airplane. Basically, drifto. If a plane doesn't have a big rudder in the back, it'll do this. That's called a beta angle in flight. So if the beta angle is the difference between the direction that you're going and the direction that the plane is pointing. You would have a high beta angle if you're trying to crab onto a runway to counteract the crosswind on a runway, flying sideways, right? So these prevent side slip. So it prevents the plane from basically fishtailing around in the air. Okay, so we know that. Why would they need extra side slip? Why would they need to protect against extra side slip with this design? Well, there's a shuttle in front of your rudder. There's a shuttle in front of your rudder. The shuttle basically occludes this thing. That's how real aerodynamics work. The shuttle is designed to push the air away from it because it needs to do that during re-entry. So when you're flying through the air, it's going to push the air pretty much everywhere but over the rudder on the plane. It's going to push it everywhere but over the rudder. The shuttle makes a lot of turbulent air behind it, but that's by design. It's supposed to do that. Now, remember how I said everything is there for a reason? Look at the space shuttle. Look what's attached to the back. That's the boat. That's the tail cone fairing for the shuttle. It protects the engines, and also, look what it's pointing at. It's pointing right at the rudder. Coincidence? Nope. Nope. That's there to try and scavenge some of the air coming off the back of the shuttle and try to push it towards the rudder to make the rudder work. But they figured out that that wasn't going to be enough, so they added these out here. Remember, everything is there for a reason. Those things are there to stabilize the design. Now, the question that you're asking is why don't more planes do this type of split tail design? Well, to be honest, they did for a long time. It's a good question, Uncapping. They did that for a long time. But there are some things about that. There's some things with this type of design that, you know, it's more of an, like, the reason why we haven't, once again, convergent design. So, like, if you look at a P-38, you look at a P-25, what else has that? An OV-10. Oh, excuse me. OV-10s have those. Why would you do something like this? Well, it's really more about application. So this is a good design. It's not bad, but so first of all, this doesn't really work too well because propellers create a ton of turbulent air and so do wings. I bet you the B-25 was pretty susceptible to some side slip to an extent because the propeller is literally shooting right at your control surface. Now that can work for you and work against you. I'm pretty sure it didn't help in this particular scenario. P-38 has the same problem. But if you look at just like, let's just put an A320 in there. You look at a regular airplane, right? This tail is, or that rudder and that V-stab is basically in a spot where it's going to get clean air, first and foremost. And honestly, it's easier to maintain one of these things than it is to maintain two of them. Complexity. Why have two of them and all the linkages that you need to have two of these damn things when you could just have one? That's just a little bit bigger, easier to maintain. Like I said, convergent design. There is a very good reason why all airliners pretty much have the same shape nowadays. There's a reason why the Concorde and the Tupolev 144 are very similar in design. There's a reason why Boom Supersonic, another supersonic transport, it kind of looks like Concorde. There's a very good reason for it. That's why most boat hulls look very similar to each other. There's only so many ways you can move through a fluid. The Dash 80 got it right. Now that's a nice looking plane. Yeah. Talking about the crew, I remembered you were buffed by old Soviet airliners, glass noses. Oh yeah. It's a navigator's place. It was for easy navigation with direct sight to the ground. It was kind of important in the Far East of Russia in the 50s and 70s before electronic navigation. There you go, Nemetko. Everything is there for a reason. Also, Tupolev 104s are just a pretty looking plane. And you can't change my mind. That plane is, it's not the best looking one. Like, scratch that. It's not like the most modern design. It was really a first generation airliner, but gosh dang, that is a cool looking plane. Look at that thing. Like I said, Uncapping, everything is there for a reason. What Nemetko was just telling me is that they put this here because the Russian Far East is not developed at all. It's really, really difficult to navigate out there. So looking at the ground was the easiest way to do it. Okay, I gotta ask, have you seen this? And also, that plane is American Broomstick just launched. Oh my. Nice. Is that a Russian Comet? It's just a Tupolev 104. But yeah, kind of. Yeah, similar. Once again, convergent design. They tried putting the engines in the wings to make a sleeker shape, pretty much. And then they figured out that this is really difficult to maintain. It's better just to keep the engines hanging in front of the wings. But yeah, 104, that's a pretty looking plane, man. I think it looks good. I think it's a beautiful plane. But then again, I'm kind of biased. I really like all types of planes. I ain't picky. If you can spot them, let me see. What? What the hell? What is this? Let me see. Oh yeah, look at that thing. Least favorite plane? I don't know. I don't like MD-11s and DC-10s. That's going to be a very unpopular opinion. I think TriStars are the superior tri-jet design, if you really want to know. Don't say the active. Don't say the active. What do you mean? Nice, Snickers. The active is a piece of junk, Pythos. Let's see. Yeah, see? That's a cool looking plane, man. Yeah, see, yeah, okay, Navigator. I got you. Like I said, everything's there for a reason. Look at that thing. Cool plane. Comets are cool looking too. But I think the
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Unpopular opinion, I think the 104 looks cooler than the Comet. The Comet has it beat in looks except for the tail. I hate the tail of the de Havilland Comet because it looks like you have this awesome looking super sleek jetliner and then they were like, yeah, just put a propeller plane's tail on the back, whatever. Hey, Zaven, 7-month resub. Yeah, I'll be honest, Forge, I don't like the Beluga either. I think it looks ridiculous. I think the Dreamlifter is much, much more aesthetic, if you really want to know. Like, look, the Beluga looks ridiculous. The Dreamlifter looks aesthetic. That thing, oh, it's terrible looking. I can't stand it. I really hate that plane's. Like, hate is a strong word. That's not the right way to say that. Like, I don't hate anything, you know? Like, I would prefer this over that, though. NASA will get a Beluga to replace the Super Guppy. Why? Why? Just use the Dreamlifter. It's there. They're made already. Why are we buying Belugas from the Europeans? Ugh. But it has an eye. The Beluga can't help it. It was not born that way. It was created that way, okay? No, they choose to make it look stupid. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Why would you do that when you have to look at it? Look at that. That's beautiful. Look at that. That looks awesome. That's awesome, man. And that's retrofitted. It's freaking sweet. The Dreamlifter looks like it ate too much. It is American. What do you want? Like, what do you want? Of course it ate too much. The Beluga's cute. Oh. Oh. Okay, I'll give you that one, right? Like, come on now. Let's see. Do you think I'm cute? You think I'm funny? Funny how? Funny how? Wonder what it tried to eat? The Dreamlifter? Other airplanes. Dude, I'm telling you, airplanes are cannibals, man. They're cannibals. They're cannibals. They eat other airplanes. They just feed on whatever they want. Warning, this could get ugly. Look, that C-5's trying to eat that poor Chinook. That poor Chinook is wounded. Somebody scalped it. Somebody took its blades off. It's gross. Stuff is gross. And that C-5's like, yummy. It's gross. It's wrong. Look at it. Look at it. It's trying to eat it's trying to swallow that C-130 whole. It's the circle of life? No, that stuff is gross. Cannibalism. What did that poor Chinook do to you? Look it. In the belly of the beast. It ate 2 tanks. Oh, that one. Ooh. Never mind. Forget about that picture. Look at it. That poor tank. That poor tank is looking behind it. Help me. Nope. It's just going to get eaten. It's not gross. It's obscene. C5 is aesthetic. Look, not the Bert. Look at that poor Pavlo. That poor Pavlo. It's gross. It looks like it threw that Apache up. Yeah. Not the Ferd! Oh! Oh! Oh, not the... Wait, did it throw up the Ferd? Yeah, it did. That guy's driving out. Because he ain't backing in that way, that's for sure. Oh my god, you can't make that up. Yeah, he's pulling a trailer, man. Not even the C5 likes Ferd. No, that's... Alright, you guys ready for the spin? Here's the spin. No, that's... It just realized that it was eating greatness. So it was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do that to the Ferd. That's how that happened exactly, to a T. Look at this. This poor Antonov's trying to eat that DSRV. The poor DSRV, what did it do to you? Look, it's got a beanie cap. That poor DSRV. Hey, I think I heard a torpedo. For Christ's sake, Jonesy, get the frick out of here. Oh, I don't want to know what's going on in this picture. Nice Super Hornet, though. Wait, if that's... If it was eating it from the front, what was... I'm gonna start the Starship stuff now. Let's... It's not the birds and the bees, all right? It's the engines and the wings. I don't know. Is my OBS there? Nah. Oh yeah, no, he is. He's there. It's right before that. It's right before the van. You just barely see the back of the greenie. We don't shame for aircraft preference. I kind of shame if you like the Beluga. That plane is ridiculous looking. Okay, I might do that a little bit. Yeah, chaff launchers. Yep. So once again, guys, this footage is coming from NASA Spaceflight. This is your Starship update for the day. Are you body shaming the plane with eyes? Yeah. Shame. I reject your shame. Nope. Your outrage just validates my feelings. Yeah, Zaven. They, ooh. A little dusty. I just noticed something on SN24. There's no RCS pods. Huh. Interesting. What about the Super Guppy? The Super Guppy's alright. I don't mind the Super Guppy. Drum, give Snickers regular, please. I prefer the Beluga to the SP anymore. You prefer the Beluga? We cannot be friends anymore. Someone's gotta like ugly planes. Ugly planes need love too, I guess. Look, you guys made an ugly plane, all right? You let the engineers design the plane, and now it looks like a bent carrot. You did this to yourself, okay? Oh, jeez, Sneaky, that's a big boulder. Ugly planes are... Snicker, you mean the hangar. Do you guys know anything about planes? Planes don't sleep in a bedroom, they sleep in a hangar. Nice. 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 I hope we can get a launch at the end of the month. Unlikely. Well, not unlikely, Zaven. I think the FAA programmatic assessment goes, it goes until the 28th of March. So, now... I know that everybody and their mother is using this as an excuse to rag on, you know, the FAA and be like, you suck, you guys are so slow, government's so slow, am I right? NASA's slow, FAA's slow, therefore government's slow. I have a soup ladle going into the pot of brain soup up here. That's not really how that works. The most likely what's going on is that they're taking their time because nothing like this has ever been made. We're talking about a spaceport with the frequency of flight of an airport. So those environmental concerns need to be understood. And if I had to guess, knowing the FAA, they're probably making sure that it is substantial enough. They're making sure that it is substantial enough to make sure that you're going to minimize risk of launching every day. When it comes to how that pertains to the environment. So I'll give you an example. They want to make sure that added load on the catch arms doesn't like make the tower sink into the swamp and fall over or something. That's the kind of stuff you got to worry about. They're looking at prolonged impact. So, you know what, man? Now's the time to take your time with that. Now, I'll be honest. If down the road, you know, the FAA says, okay, you can launch, and then SpaceX does a couple of launches, and then they're like, oh, wait, never mind. That's when I'll get a little annoyed, because that means you didn't do your homework, okay? You see what I'm talking about? What's up with the F-35 on carriers coding changing color from the wind conditions? I don't know, Kate, because I don't know what that stuff is made out of. It's called RAM. It's called radar absorbent material, whatever the paint is, and I don't know what that is, so I don't know what's reacting to it. And if I did know what RAM was made out of, I wouldn't tell you. Because yeah, that's how you get put on a list. We call it LO, low observable. What? I can't see you. You speaking of my good air, please? I can't see you. Here's the B-roll footage if you got time to cover it. Of course I do, Novus. Yeah, I already have it queued up over here. We'll pop it in after. I had it queued up. I freaking forgot, dude. Yeah, look at that. Look at the jib. They're using twin jib on the crane. That truck, though. See the bull bar on the front of that truck? Hey, how big do you want the bull bar on the front of the truck to be? Yes, please. Is that a bug catcher? Looks like the front of a train. The Prius has your gaze? Oh, I'm sorry. That's some Longhorn size right there. You're not wrong. I'll admit that 3500 dually next to the Prius is pretty cool. Moose deflector in Texas? I guess. A ship with an aft dome. Wait, what did that say? Hold on. A ship aft dome with a new design. Ah, yeah, look at this thing. That's the back of a Starship with the... Oh, yeah. The plumbing lines are updated. Look at that. Oh, that's nice. I like that. And seeing a moose in Texas, Vaxlock, is about as rare as like seeing a Bengal tiger in Siberia. Now you know. Now that I said that, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, actually, there are tigers in Siberia." You know what? And now that there is, well, just picture an animal that you wouldn't find there. Okay? Bengals? I'm just joking. Yep. So am I. Oversold it? Okay. Oversold it. A dolphin. I'm saying to Snowflake, okay. And he's saying, okay. And he's up on the leg. And you can quote him. A walrus. I tell you to stop making up animals. Heinz gets velvet. I am trainer of dolphins. You want to talk to the dolphin? You talk to me. What happened to him? What happened to me? 7 years I made that grade. A duck. Exactly. Alright, so that's the new nose cone. Forge, you were saying you don't see any... Forge. Nice. Forge, you were saying you didn't see any RCS here. So that's a hoist point right there. What is this thing? What are these? A nostril. Pressure vent? Wait a minute. Where's the aero control surface here? Shouldn't the aero control surface be right here? You think this is the nose cone that Elon said where the aero surfaces would be up here somewhere? Interesting. Yeah, now I'm wondering. Because Elon did say that they were going to put the nose cone surfaces up the top. Huh. The Netflix version of Ace Ventura cuts that scene out? Why? Yeah, Forge, that... So, this design still doesn't really explain the aero surfaces, you know? Why is it... or the tile. Well, maybe it does. Yeah, maybe. No, the nose cone is not pointy enough. That's a nice picture, Pythos. Huh. Huh? Huh. Because there's no RCS on this thing. Yeah. Interesting. Rarest, you've been following since March 20th, 2017. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Freeze it, tank. Nice. Dodge, dodge. Ew. Gross. There's one in this video, Jax. How do you feel about Tundras? Toyota makes an alright truck, Joe. Fine. I wouldn't buy one, but they're good trucks. They have not static fired the booster yet, no. I don't know, Jax. Yeah, man, that cinder block wall went up real fast, didn't it? Those are the new methane tanks that they put in. There's some oxygen. EJ, opinion on this? I don't know. What the frick? Hold on a second. What? Hang on 1 second. Let me. Why? Are we gonna go back to using tiller wheels in cars too? Like, okay. Anybody that's ever driven a car, ever. You're at a stoplight. You need to go 90 degrees to the left. You're turning, all right? 90-degree turn. What do you do with the wheel? You turn it to here, and then you do this, or you do that, right? How are you going to do that with a yoke? You go to turn the wheel here, and then you go to grab it, and nothing is there. So now you have to do this. So now what if a car is coming? What if there's oncoming traffic? Now your hands are on the wheel like this. Okay, you have to make a quick maneuver. What if you need to turn more to the right? Keep firing, assholes! Sorry. Just palm one of the corners of the yoke. So unless your steering angle is full lock left, so the tires are all the way this way with 90 degrees of rotation, and full lock right with 90 degrees of rotation to the right, so 180 degrees total motion, you're going to have to twist your arms over each other to get at this thing. Yeah, look, I get it. Yokes are cool. That's really cool. But also, it's a good way to get... That's going to get someone hurt. A suicide knob? Yeah, no, hard pass on that. Guessing the yoke is only 180 or 270 degrees. Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. I got an email. Yes, an email. All right. I'm thinking that for the varying speed, the yoke will have more turn authority, so when you go 60, you're not going to flip the vehicle with a slight turn of the wheel. Yeah, Pythos, that's fine. That's a good control mechanism. But now you're making all these fancy control mechanisms when you could just make a steering wheel and not have to do that. That's less things on the car. Pilot's like, that's cool, dude. And yeah, it's electric. Yeah, I think that car was electric, etc., but I don't... You know, maybe aerospace, learning about aerospace engineering has ruined this. I hate it when cars have superfluous design in them. It's really annoying. It jars on my mind. Because, like, I think about the design, I think about why it was implemented that way, and it's like, wow, this is overcomplicating a problem that didn't exist. It's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. And what you're talking about, so specially designed, you know, fly-by-wire linkage for a yoke steering wheel is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist because it looks cool. All right. Oh, more tanking tests. The KISS philosophy works great when you actually use it. Yeah. Yeah. It gets so much worse. To be fair, you remove some of the weight by removing mechanical connections. Pythos, do you want a car that doesn't have a mechanical connection to the wheels? I don't know, man. Yeah, the cinder block wall went up over the past week, Jim. Yeah, that thing is brand new. I don't know, man. Do you? Like, I'm actually asking. I really prefer mechanical connection to the wheels. Much less likely to fail, because it's much less complicated. But yeah, I get it. You're saving weight and whatnot, you know? Why not? It works for planes. I guess. I suppose. But you got to remember that planes don't necessarily need an electronic connection interpolating your input. You know, Airbus had a problem with that on their airliners for the longest time when two people tried to input controls on the thing. You know, planes don't necessarily need that. It's just one of those things that makes, I mean, it makes it simpler and arguably, yeah, I suppose it makes it a little bit safer. But like that's the case with a plane. I'm not sure that type of system in a car, because you're much more likely to crash in a car, or something is much more likely to go wrong because we don't maintain cars like we maintain planes. So plane systems don't really work too well on cars now, do they? That'd be like giving a boat tires, drive wheels, and attaching them to the side and being like, yep, it's amphibious now. It's like, Okay. Yeah, by those, yeah, that's true. I guess, man. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Oh, hello. There's a truck here now. The nitrogen respawned. Yep, yep. Yeah, look at that. They added a boom extension and twin jibs on that thing, which means it's going to need to pick something up and move it out. Damn, that's a big... Dude. That's a big crane, man. Cool. I have a feeling we first theorized that 11,000 crane was just there to put the gantry cranes in on the wide bay. But I have a feeling from that picture from RGV aerial that we saw the other day, I'm fairly confident that that's going to be there to build the factory as well. But I could be wrong. You see how they put it in a configuration that has the extension this way? Like a tower crane? Well, what are tower cranes good at? Building buildings. Just a thought. Hey man, you got something to eat up in there? We hungry. A lot of tech nowadays is like that. They fix stuff that isn't broken just because someone who should be making technical decisions decided it was a problem. Yeah, Sorden. That's the duality of like everything, of like electromechanical engineering, I suppose. You know? Like, everybody thinks that a computer is just going to make things better. I think computer design has made things worse. Especially stuff that requires a practical application. Case in point, John Deere tractors. Try to work on any car nowadays. There's 1,000 steps to do the same step that took 3 on a car from the 70s. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean I'm anti-tech. Like, there are some problems. What I'm trying to tell you is that, you know, a computer isn't always the end-all be-all solution to a problem. Any good engineer would recognize it as something that's not necessarily needed all the time. Just like canards aren't needed on an airplane all the time. No, Pythos, the F-15 Active looks stupid. Like, you're not changing my mind. You know, it's just a tool. It's just another thing that you have in your arsenal to be more effective, and sometimes that doesn't require a warrant. Not require a warrant. This isn't police. It's not warranted. You know, like electric steering. Why would you need computer-controlled steering in a car? That is literally only complicating a problem that didn't exist. A mechanical system works just fine. It works just fine, and you cannot tell me that it's cheaper to manufacture. That a computer interpolated input on a car is not more difficult to make than a mechanical steering linkage. Yeah, I think cars are way too complicated for the application, but hey, the automakers will do what people want, so it's kind of irrelevant. If everybody wants an infotainment center in their car, they're going to do it. Now, see, here's the thing. The funny thing about infotainment is that you'd think that infotainment would suck. That would be so annoying. Infotainment systems on cars are actually consolidating a bunch of systems on the car into one thing. And that is actually a pretty cool idea. That's smart. That's a case circumstance where you could take all the electrical components and you could put them in one box on the car and then wire that to everything else. That's a smart idea. That's cool. That is an example of a computer actually making things less complicated. There's less components that you need to put in the car because the computer and the screen is a lot easier to make than a bunch of different dials and knobs and all these little switches on all the interior. Like a Tesla has it down pat. That's really smart. That's really smart. That's a good idea. I agree with that. I think that is a perfect example of technology being used in the right application. Pretty much, geek. Yeah, glass cockpit on an airplane. Yeah, bingo. But it's with a plane, it's good to have redundancies. Because with a car, you want to know where you are, you just look out the window. There's no signs up at 30,000 feet. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I understand the gist of what you're saying. Yeah, Vaxoc, that's true. Back to mechanical computers, like they're sick. They like the targeting computer from battleships. Yep. Infotainment doesn't require that things under the hood are not even serviceable by Joe Normal. Yeah. Dark Naze, exactly. See what I mean? It's needless complication. And that needless complication is why there's no $20,000 cars around anymore. You know, in the 90s, you could buy a Toyota Corolla for, like, what would the modern day equivalent be? Like 15 grand? A brand new car for 15 G's. It's a pretty good car. You know, it doesn't have a computer. It has a basic computer in it for the engine and stuff, but, you know. Solving problems in aviation, you didn't have a G700 cockpit. Everything is a touchscreen with very few switches. So what happens if there's smoke? Yeah, man. Like, look at all this stuff. The checklists are even, like, dude. And Crash, like, if you want to think about it like this, is that tablet really less weight than a freaking notebook? Than a checklist, than an actual service van? Like, it's just, I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. No mechanical backups, huh? Okay. All right. Here, guys, let's check out the, somebody, wait, what did you say, Forge? What did you want me to see? What's this guy saying now? Oh. Let's take a look. So this is coming from Eric. What's he saying? Look at the overhead. That's the fuel electrical system. Crash, I don't think that's wise, but whatever. Even Dragon has buttons on it, dude, and that thing is designed to fly into space. So, the ESA announced this week that Crew 4 will be a shorter mission to the International Space Station, and Samantha Cristoforetti will no longer serve as commander because of the shorter on-orbit increment. I'd like to explain why this is not explain why, so this is not misunderstood. Okay, let's see what Mama has to say on the subject. Yeah, I agree, Natch. That's why I like this Citation CJ4 in Flight Sim, because it has backups to it. I actually really enjoyed flying that plane around. We should do that more. This is not a reflection of Samantha Cristoforetti. Samantha Cristoforetti is a European astronaut from Italy, whom just about everybody I've spoken to says is awesome, and my personal interactions with her have been great as well. This does seem like a purely scheduling issue. This is about giving NASA and the ESA maximum flexibility and ensuring a direct handover between Crew 4 and Crew 5 this fall to ensure that there's no gap where there is no U.S. astronauts on board. This puts the NASA handover before the Soyuz handover this fall. This change was in the works because, so it was not done in response to that. Although escalating tensions certainly make the move seem more prudent. Basically, this ensures that NASA ESA will be on station even if there's no Soyuz seat swap. Yeah. NASA hedges their bets because they always do. Yeah. What is this? Small rocket. CU sounding rocket lab. We had to push our launch date of March 5th, but here's a motor fit check regardless. That's cool. Sad for the cosmonauts, a good tactical move. Why? I mean, Newt, it's not... As far as crew rotation operations on the ISS, nothing has changed. No matter how much bullcrap you hear, that's pretty much right from people that work at NASA. Like, I don't know what to tell you. They're not going to... Like, even now, they're not going to... Even now, they're not going to compromise. Nobody wants to be the one that leaves the ISS and screws the other side. No one wants to do that. Even with something like the ISS. Like, I honestly don't think the Russians will do that, because even if you look at it from a purely monetary perspective, the ISS is a huge revenue stream. It's a huge revenue stream, because that means that Soyuz production stays in production. So the Russians aren't going to do it, despite what Dmitry says. I seriously don't think that's what's going on. I mean, he might whine about it, but I don't think they would do that. I mean, I don't know, though. My judgment on things has been all over the place lately, because, yeah, this was a curveball this whole thing was a curveball that I didn't see coming. So, like, that's part of the reason why I'm getting so, like, stressed out during space news, because I'm not sure what to really, like, I have to understand the scope of what's going on, you know? And I don't think we would, because the ISS is a huge scientific endeavor for us. Same dude who said this. I mean, because Almanac freaking poked the bear, dude. Like, and that doesn't make what Dmitry posted right either. I don't know, man. I seriously, Forge, I seriously don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they will. You're screwing your own revenue stream if you do that. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. You wouldn't do that. I really don't think that's going to happen. What I do think is going to happen is that, you know, now that the poop has hit the fan and we really can't close that box, analogies, Russia will probably pull out of the space station, the ISS project, probably sooner rather than later. Yeah, probably sooner rather than later. You know, the Roscosmos engineers estimated that, you know, it'll be worth it to keep the station going probably until 2026, maybe 2028 at the latest. That's probably what's going to happen. I mean, the U.S. wants to... It's so stupid, man. Like, regardless of what's happening right now, okay, so just take the whole thing going on with Russia and the Ukraine and just put it over here for a second, okay? The Americans shoehorned legislation into NASA's budget. They made it a thing to do this, to extend funding for the ISS until 2030. They did that knowing full well that the Russian engineers could say that the older these modules get, the increased risk of something going wrong, which is the case with any system. Any system does that. Electronic, mechanical, whatever. The older it is, the more likely something is going to go wrong. The further you get away from that manufacturing date, the worse it's going to get. So, and this was before all the bullcrap hit the fan, guys. The Roscosmos engineers, not Dmitry Rogozin, not some stupid pundit over there, the engineers. So, like Alexander Soloviev, who's one of Roscosmos' top engineers, he said those modules aren't going to last till 2030. There's no freaking way. Like, don't get me wrong, you could keep them working, but you would basically be doing maintenance every day. You'd become more of a janitor than a scientist. You know what I mean? That's basically what they said, and that was before the crap hit the fan. So it's funny because we're like, oh yeah, the ISS is going to keep going until 2030. And the Russians are like, I mean, yeah, if you want to... The Russian engineers, and once again, this is not to be true Gozin, it's the engineers. And I remember watching this on Roscosmos' YouTube channel. They were talking to the engineers, and the engineers were like, yeah, it's probably like the risk of catastrophic failure gets exponentially high past 2026 because the modules are like 40 years old on the Russian segment. They were built in the Soviet Union, Zarya and Zvezda. They're just old. They're not designed to last that long. So, you know, like, I think that Russia will pull out of the ISS project pretty much as soon as they think it's not worth it to send cosmonauts up there. But even then, you got to think that screws with their revenue stream. That means Soyuz has no destination. Which is why even before all this happened, you saw Russia wanting to build their own space station post ISS, the ROSS. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this was all happening before the poop hit the fan. If you asked me this same question, like, what do you think's going to happen to the ISS a month ago, I would have said the same thing. I mean, this is a proving ground for future space technology. Learn how to live, work, and maintain a space habitat, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, take that for what it's worth, guys. Yeah. Interesting experiment going on right now. Oh. Neat. Huh. Interesting. Can they let it burn up in the atmosphere? Yeah, of course, on Temple, it'll burn up. There's no thermal protection systems that are designed on the ISS to withstand re-entry. That was, once again, by design. There's no tiles, there's no thermal tiles. There are thermal control systems on the ISS, but that's just to make it so it doesn't melt in the sunlight. And I'm pretty sure that re-entry heating is a lot hotter than the sunlight. I mean, don't get me wrong, the sun in space gets really freaking hot. Yeah. We have the atmosphere to diffuse the sunlight, and then we have the magnetic field to block out the rays that would cook us like a freaking like a fried egg. Yeah, up in space, oh yeah, gets very hot. And also you have no way to convect heat. You have to radiate heat, which means you need a dedicated radiator. It's not like the ISS can sweat and it will cool itself off. I mean, yeah, you can't do that way. You can't convect. Can't convect heat up there. So you need radiators, and that's the thermal control systems. Yeah, stuff in the vacuum, guys, really, really difficult to keep at like 20 degrees Celsius. Yeah, really, really difficult. Thermals are something that we don't really talk about much because it doesn't really affect you much in KSP. But yeah, if the ISS's radiators, if the coolant system failed, it would be about as bad as Geordie LaForge saying there's a coolant leak in the drive section. Yeah, leave immediately. Coolant system goes, that's it, bye-bye, leave the station. Now, don't get me wrong, they have redundant backups. It's probably triple redundant between the Russian segment and the US segments. I'll bet you it's triple redundant. That's probably... So there's probably like a double backup on the USOS segment, and then there's probably another backup on the Russian segment just in case. And they're all designed to work, they're all designed to intertwine with each other. So, yeah, I'm pretty... Don't get me wrong, like, you're not going to jettison the saucer section, you know? Yeah. Send a DM on Discord. Just replace the transmission mount on the 97. Nice. Airbus should paint the Beluga like this. What does Elon say? What the hell? Dude. Well, that's not something. Okay. Chat, what do you make of this? Ah, Grab, it's good. It's cool, though. Thank you for showing me. I appreciate it. You see that? You know how bad... You know how bad it has to be to get that guy to say that? Oh, no. I don't even want to know the context of this, man. I don't want to know what spurred that segment, that say. Like, why did it... I don't want to know why. I don't want to know. 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 I have an idea, but I don't want to know. Oh my God, what is going on? This place is going to hell in a handbasket, man. Yeah, rarest. Like I said, I don't want to know. Good T-shirt. Thanks, Hardscape. I got my ULA T-shirt on for the Atlas that launched the other day. Baby. What's the fuel cost for all those trucks in Starbase? I don't know, Tavern. Yes. Drink while the wine's still cheap, brother. Yep. You know, here's the part where I say, look, you know, I have all cars with V8s, you know. But the reality of that situation, all my cars with V8s, I just drive on the weekends mostly. So, yeah, it doesn't really affect me. I don't have to commute to work, you know. I think when launch broke, next launch is the new command, Gah. You've been sober 5 years and it's been really hard not to drink lately. Yeah, rarest, you know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Dude, it's been hard. It's been tough on stream, man. Like I said, I was talking about it earlier, dude. It's been really difficult because, you know, the news that we cover, the space news, especially pertaining to the ISS and Russia and like OneWeb and ExoMars and the international cooperation has a lot to do with Russia. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been tough. It's been hard lately. I've been really trying my best to not Rule 8 that hard, but I fully realize that I can't really explain the situation without saying that, you know? Without, like, I just want to explain what's going on. I have no axe to grind here. Yeah, Dutch guy, I mean... But see, like, the thing is like, dude, if I go too far down that rabbit hole, which I've done, like, multiple times in the past week, not like, getting upset about things, but I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interested, like, I always say, I'm interested in the truth. This is why, like, we went into that NASA investigator general that didn't know what the heck he was talking about, and we proved it. I just want to know the truth. And I'm very weary of people with an axe to grind, like certain reporters. You know what I mean? I'm very weary of that stuff because those people don't have space flight at heart. That's not at their heart. They have an axe to grind. You don't, like, and I'd be lying to you if I said that there aren't axes to grind all over the place with what's going on overseas, right? Like, so it's just been tough, man. It's been really hard to discern, like, everything going on at the same time, you know? Yeah, Dutch guy, it's very aggravating for me. Yeah, it's very aggravating, and just going through all of these trials and tribulations is really... It's taxing me out to the point where I just, like, sometimes I just don't even want to do space news. Like, today I really didn't want to. I'll be honest, I really didn't want to do space news today. But, you know, we ended up talking about planes and stuff, so it was all good. Maybe instead of, like, space newses, we'll just do deep dives into things during space news. Would you guys be interested in doing something like that? All right. Okay. Like, we'll do a deep dive into, like, the USS Nevada or something. The battleship that survived 2 nuclear blasts and Pearl Harbor. Like, you know, you've heard me talk about the Nevada before. I could go into a deep dive on it or something, or we could go to a deep dive for canards or something. Like, dude, that's how much this is jarring on me. I'm willing to talk about canards with you guys. Like, I hate canards, man. I hate them. I hate them. You know? That's a joke. I don't hate them. I'm just trying to be funny. I liked yesterday's nuclear dive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Crap, he's fried. SR-71. Yeah, we could talk about SR-71s or stuff. I'll do some research. Like, I'll pick something and we'll go. Like, we could talk about Constellation, not it being canceled. I'll talk about what it was supposed to do. Do things about shuttles. Like, I think we should do that in lieu of space news. The canards on this guy. Maybe space news could become aerospace news. The engineering of the U-2, sure. Deep dives into old spaceflight hardware in random places. Yeah, okay. Shuttle 747, yeah. It's not looking so hot for SLS right now. Fire. What you just did there is the kind of crap that I'm talking about. I'm going to be candid. You see what you just did there? That's the problem. What you said right there is the problem. Why? Why? So it's not looking so hot for SLS right now. Why? Why is it not looking so hot for SLS right now? Where did you hear that? What's the source? Where did you hear that from? Or are you just saying it off the cuff? That's the kind of crap that makes this thing so frustrating. The rise and fall of U2? Are we talking about the band or the plane? See what I did there? You catch this. What's that, Rarest? Is it undergoing a cryo test? That wouldn't be too hot. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point, Scary. Yeah. After a mistaken identity and confusion, a piece of space junk slams into the moon. Yeah, it was a Long March 3 stage from one of the Chinese landers. They thought it was a SpaceX stage that got sucked into the moon's gravitational pull, but yeah, no. It's just another stage, and it's fine. Yeah, I heard it from the angry astronaut. Who is the angry astronaut? Do I want to know? Yeah, Sordin, we could do stuff like that. A YouTuber, because that helps me. No.
You know, every now and then it would be really nice to find some good news about Artemis for a change. However, at the House Subcommittee for Space and Aeronautics, where NASA made its recent report about the state of Artemis and what's happening with this overall program and the various challenges that it's facing, it was very, very tough to find any good news whatsoever, especially from the Office of Inspector General. The news has gone from bad to worse. This program is not only expensive, it's not only disorganized, it's not only poorly laid out, it's frankly unsustainable. And these are their words, not mine. I'll be showing you a few clips from the video here in a little bit.
Remember what I said about regurgitating others' opinions? So, it sounds like Angry Astronaut just read the OIG report, didn't think anything of it, and did exactly what everybody else did. Oh, they say, the NASA Investigator General says that this is unsustainable. Watch the space news from 2 days ago. I bet you I could change anybody's mind that says that. The short story about this, fellas, is that, look, we dove into that IG report. I read a good deal of it. and then chat showed me another, there was a difference between the testimony and the actual Investigator General report. I went back and read it. I read it off stream just to be sure. I read specifically the paragraphs that we cited. The Investigator General basically says that the program is unsustainable because he feels like it. Yeah. Dangerous thing. Because, look, how is it unsustainable? Compared to what? Oh, the other rocket that we have that goes to the moon? Oh, wait, we don't have one of those. Let's compare it to another space program. Nobody else goes to the moon. So what is it unsustainable compared to? It's unsustainable compared to nothing. It's unsustainable because you think it's unsustainable because you have nothing to base it off of. It's literally unsustainable because it's your opinion. Funny. And you know what? That crap take gets regurgitated by people who don't know what they're talking about. Night Sun Temple. See what I'm talking about, man? I went into a deep dive. Like me and Hell Hydra and a couple of other viewers went into a deep dive. The OIG says it's unsustainable because he thinks it's unsustainable. Compared to what? The Apollo program? Compared to what? The Soviet moon rocket? What are you comparing it to? What is it unsustainable compared to? What does sustainable spaceflight look like? That was never defined in the Investigator General report. And if, like, once again, I can already tell in the first 5 seconds that this guy did not do one iota of reading that freaking report. Because even NASA's managerial remarks towards the Investigator General say that there's no way to quantify cost. Think about it for a second. There's no way to quantify cost. This is NASA. This is NASA saying this. Okay? NASA agrees with the conclusion that I came to without reading their managerial response. I'm not regurgitating their opinion here. This is the conclusion that I came to by reading the IG report and using some logical deduction. Or, well, deductive reasoning, I guess, would probably be the right way to say it. NASA said that there's no way... The short story is that NASA said, we don't know how much the moon program is going to cost because we haven't been to the moon. How am I going to know how much it's going to cost if I haven't done it yet? How are we going to know? How can we possibly know how much going to the moon and back, how much one mission is going to cost until we have at least one mission to the moon under our belt? They said the Investigator General was wrong. Full stop. That's NASA's management now. And I can already tell that Angry Astronaut Firework, he didn't read the whole IG report. To be fair, neither did I. Chad had to show me that part. I'll admit that. But I came to that conclusion before I read the managerial response. We did a whole dive into that whole thing the other day. It took me about 2 hours. But that was 2 hours of reading it on stream to figure out that IG literally has no idea what he's talking about. Now, there were some remarks from the Investigator General's program that were right. And Angry Astronaut is right in this regard. The program's all over the place. There's no centralized structure to the Artemis program. It's highly decentralized, and because of that, you have a really just weird kind of architecture. Like Artemis 1's going to do this, and 2 is going to do this, and 3 is going to do this, and maybe 4 is going to do that. There's no in NASA terms, it's called an IMS, Indy Motor Speedway. No, it's called an Integrated Mission Schedule. Okay, IMS or AIMS in the case of NASA, Artemis Integrated Mission Schedule. That's like the master schedule. There's no real master schedule that's really fleshed out for the Artemis program. To be honest, the Apollo program did have a really good integrated master schedule, but that schedule didn't really come into full focus until we were going to the moon. They had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J missions. The whole integrated master schedule was figured out by 1964. But even then, there were variations in the schedule to the actual missions. Like, a lot of people don't know this, and I'll bet you Angry Astronaut doesn't know this either. Apollo 8 was supposed to be the first landing on the moon. That's what the integrated master schedule called for. Apollo 8 was supposed to be the first lunar landing. Instead, it became the first crew out to the moon but didn't land. Why? The lunar module wasn't ready. The LEM wasn't finished. Grumman was delayed on the lunar module because it turns out trying to build something to land on the moon is expensive. It was expensive then, it's expensive now. It's still expensive. It's always going to be, unless we employ it in scale. Scale is the only way to beat that problem, in which case you still have to spend billions of dollars to figure out how to land on the moon. Somebody had to spend billions of dollars to figure, Boeing had to spend billions of dollars to figure out how to make a 747 work. The only reason that the 747 is still flying today is because they built a lot of them. And it's a good freaking design, but that's another story. See what I'm talking about? There's no way to say what's insustainable and what's not for something that we haven't done, frankly. I don't think I caught everything. Was the $4 billion number cited by the Investigator General not justified? No. Which, of course it's justified. Sure. Which, I'm not saying that Artemis is or isn't going to cost $4 billion. $4 billion is the collective cost. That's everything, okay? And now NASA said in the past that SLS launches are going to cost about $2 billion a pop. And once again, that's all told. SLS with Orion is going to cost $4 billion for the first 4 missions. Now, I know that seems like a steep number. But NASA has to disclose their pricing. It's a form of accountability. And the Investigator General does talk about that. The IG also said, he also said that, you guys have to be more transparent with your costs. And NASA also said, well, yeah, you're right, but also, how are we going to be more transparent? We have to tell you how much stuff costs by law, or else, people will come after us for embezzlement. NASA has to tell us the price. They have to. And the Investigator General said, well, you have to tell us the price. You have to be more transparent about your prices. And NASA said, if we don't tell you the price of things, we go to jail. I don't know how we can be more clear about this. And that was in the managerial remarks on the Investigator General report as well. So, like I said, I know right off the bat, I'm not going to say that I don't need to listen, because listening is something that's important. I'll probably watch the rest of this firework off of stream just so I can, and once again, I'm not trying to pick it apart, dude, but I can tell that this video was made in haste. It's very easy to spot. And a lot of news gets reported in haste. That's bad. I don't care how long it takes to figure something out. I really don't. I'd rather tell you pretty much exactly what's going on within the information provided. It is kind of a rant, I'll admit that. I'll have to listen to the rest later. So we need a block buy. Yes, of course, Geeson. That's something I've been saying for, I don't know, about 5 years now. Yeah, about 5 years. Pretty much since like 2015, 2016, when I realized what was going on with SLS. I don't think the guy's necessarily a SpaceX fanboy. And for what it's worth, if you're watching this stream for the first time, I'm a huge SpaceX fanboy. I want Starship to eat SLS's lunch. I really do. So NASA can realize that, and pretty much everyone can realize that the only way to beat this problem is scale. And you know what? The honest truth is that it really doesn't matter if you're using reusable or expendable rockets. Scale is the problem. The reason why is because rocket production is a small fraction of the total cost it takes to make something go to the moon. Building the factory is arguably way more expensive than actually producing the vehicle that comes out of it. Automakers could tell you this. And what do automakers do to make up for the fact that they spent $7 billion on a factory? That factory produces a lot of cars, doesn't it? Any complicated piece of machinery is going to need a complicated factory to build it. Rockets are no exception to this. So the majority of your cost is going to be in the factory and the launch pad and all the equipment that the rocket needs to be able to rocket correctly. Building the rockets and launching the rockets is a exceptionally small cost, and even NASA could tell you that. Sure, you go into their systems engineering handbook, it'll say the same thing. Ask Elon that. Same exact thing. The key is to beat the problem with scale. And it doesn't matter if it's expendable, and it doesn't matter if it's reusable. You have to fly more, not less. Now, reusability does favor flying more if you produce a lot. And again, that's where Elon Musk is getting that $2 million Starship thing from. He's taking into account that there's going to be enough Starships to fly once a week or once a day. That's where the $2 million price point per launch is, because Elon crunches the numbers because he's smart. He's a smart dude. And once again, if SpaceX ever discloses how much Starship costs, well, guess what? If they disclose total cost involved, I'll bet you it's in a P&L somewhere in a SpaceX accounting office.
Hey, do we have popcorn?
No.
Darn it.
If they ever disclose that cost, I'll bet you it's in line with SLS. Do we honestly? SpaceX is building 2 launch pads right now, possibly even 3. They have 2 oil rigs. They have an entire R&D production facility in Texas. They have an entire rocket factory in Hawthorne. They have an engine testing facility in McGregor. They have an operational pad in Vandenberg and 2 operational pads down the Cape, and they're building another factory at the Cape. Can anybody honestly sit here and tell me that SpaceX isn't spending billions of dollars to get Starship off the ground, figuratively and literally? No, that's not how that works. The only way to beat the problem is scale. That's the only way within the confines of how rockets are funded and flown. You can ask me. You can ask any industry expert that knows what they're that knows this stuff. You can ask an economist. They'll tell you the same thing. You could say, I want to make X product. It costs this much. Should I make 3 of them? The economist goes, well, how much did it take to build the factory to make that thing? No, you want to make more. See what I mean? This is all... Scale is the only way to beat it. It doesn't matter if it's expendable. It doesn't matter if it's reusable. Reusability is favored slightly over expendability, though. And I honestly agree with that. But this isn't about me agreeing with that. This is about whether SLS is sustainable or not. The only way... That's why I want Starship to eat SLS's lunch. So NASA realizes, and bureaucrats realize, that the only way to go toe-to-toe with Starship is to make a lot of SLSs. Does that make sense? Ask anyone that works in the industry. They'll tell you the same thing. Which is why I fundamentally believe that more rockets is better than less. Because if we're building more rockets... that means that the industry for launching into space, the industry for launching into space is expanding. And that means that it's growing because of demand. If it's growing because of demand, more rockets is usually a telltale sign of that, right? So we have everybody making rockets left and right to try and cash in on the high demand for small sats, for crew launches, for launches to the moon sooner rather than later, lunar landers. You see how much competition is here? And yes, the competition is kind of seeded by NASA, of course. If there are more rockets being made, that means the industry is growing, okay? There's no way that the industry is growing and less rockets are getting made. That's not how that works. The automotive industry is doing better. More people are producing cars. That makes sense? And guess what? In any macroeconomic situation, you're either growing or you're dying. There's no third direction here. That's a line from Tommy Boy, and that's right. You either grow or you shrink. There's no flatlining. That doesn't happen. Look at any publicly traded company's stock price, and you tell me, there's always going to be fluctuations. It's always going to go up and down. It never goes in a straight line. And if it does, well, that's good. That means there's always a constant demand for it, which is probably a good thing, but that remains to be seen with rockets. Look at any rocket company's stock. Private companies are allowed to stick with a vision. Rule 8 programs, so national space programs have new leadership every 4 to 8 years. Impossible to maintain a program long enough to reach economies of scale like that. Yeah, Pete, that's part of the reason why I wanted Jim to pull the trigger on a block buy, but he couldn't get it done in time. I think he was going to do it, and I think Bill will too. But yeah, exactly. That's part of the reason why SLS is so fragmented, though, Pete. You asked me that question a little while back. SLS is all fragmented and all over the place and has contractors in every state, and it's purposely spread out to protect it so it doesn't get canned like Constellation. Make sense? Jim snuck in some stuff that ensured it continued for a while at least. That's right. Jim knew what he was doing, man. He knew what he was doing. I really wish he could still be there. We probably would have had a block buy by now. I think that could have happened. Yeah. He was so good for NASA, dude. And it's not that I think that Bill isn't good. Bill is okay. And that's what's, okay is fine. I'll take okay. You know? What is SLS? NASA's Space Launch System, Cobra? NASA's new rocket that they're using to get to the moon. Yeah, pretty much, Green. Yeah, economy of scale is nothing new. This is not a new idea. Henry Ford, well, actually, the gun industry was the first industry to do that. And then Henry Ford borrowed that idea of mass production interchangeable parts from the firearms industry and applied it to cars. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. There were other mass-produced objects before that, like train cars, for instance. And coincidentally, Detroit already had, before Henry Ford was there, Detroit already had a heavy manufacturing base for making rail cars. Yeah, true story. But yeah, hopefully that firework, hopefully that sheds some light onto it, man. Dude, you got to do some digging, man. And I know, you know, when you're watching YouTube, it's not really about critically thinking about anything, but you got to be careful. You heard SLS isn't doing so well. I disagree with you. I think SLS is doing just fine. Anyway, Mars resident, what's that? Do you think China can be the first to bring back humans to the moon? From what I've seen, NASA seems to be ahead of China because we have a rocket sitting in the VAB that's going to launch something to the moon in a couple of months. I would like to see some more flight hardware from China, particularly with their Long March 9. But there's another rocket floating around, like a Long March 7F or whatever. That's like a Long March Falcon Heavy amalgamation. That seems like a pretty capable vehicle. You could do Earth Orbit Rendezvous with that. That would work. Yeah. Right now, the United States seems to have a much higher technical footing than China does. But once again, A, I don't follow the Chinese space program very much. And B, China might just be doing it under wraps, dude. I mean, information's very controlled over there. Like, we know the reasons why. We don't need to talk about it. So information's very controlled over there. So, you know, if the state doesn't want to tell you about their lunar program, they won't. The Soviet lunar program was not a thing. Nobody knew that the Soviets were doing the lunar program, save for like maybe the CIA and the Soviet Union themselves. They didn't know that there was any competition to the Saturn V at the time. No one knew that. It was totally classified. Total black project stuff. No one knew that they were doing that. Comparatively to the Apollo program, which was very overt. We didn't know that they were doing that. Like, the general public didn't know that they had their own lunar program that failed miserably until the 90s. Until actually the mid to late 80s, early 90s, because of two policies that were enacted by the Soviet Union, by Mikhail Gorbachev, called Glasnost and Perestroika. Basically meaning openness, freedom of information. It was all classified. Yeah, same with Buran. Well, not so much with Buran. Buran was a little more well known. We didn't know. So China, like, in that regard, China could just have a moon rocket roll out to the pad tomorrow. You know? Be like, yep, we're going to the moon now. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to gauge the status of what they're doing over there because information is controlled, just like it was coming out of the Soviet Union, you know? So, Liab, I mean, it's a good question, dude. Right now, with the information given, I would say that the U.S. is slightly ahead. And by slightly, I mean a pretty good gap ahead. But that doesn't mean that the Chinese don't have something up their sleeve. And this is what I mean about giving people the benefit of the doubt. Would I like to see Americans to be the first to return back to the moon since Americans landed on the moon 50 years ago? Yes. I would really like to see that. As an American, that would make me happy. But, you know, I'm not going to let that influence my judgment either. Like, I'm not going to let that, you know, me wanting SLS to work blind my judgment. Like, from what I can tell, from a sheer technical standpoint, you know, politics aside, that the Chinese don't really have, I haven't really seen any heavy lift capability. Now, two things. If I'm going to be very blunt, does that mean that the Chinese can't do it? Man, hell no. They have enough technical expertise to go to the moon. Absolutely. It's only a matter of time. I think they're behind right now, but that doesn't mean that they won't be behind in the future. And if anybody's going to come up fast and get this thing done quickly, it's them. You know, how the country's governance is completely notwithstanding of that. They'll get it done quickly if they decide to. Just like we got it done quickly in the 60s because we decided to. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Mars Resident, what is that? So, can you explain what this is? What am I looking at here? We'll go a little bit longer, guys, and then I'm going to get ready for some racing. Found an interesting video clip laying around on my phone. Any guesses? And that's in response to Space Expanse saying, do you ever plan on building reuse? Oh my gosh, that's smart reuse. Whoa, wait, how did I did like this. I liked this already. What? This was yesterday. And I saw it. I even liked the dang thing. And I forgot to share it. That's what I mean, man. There's so much nonsense that's clouding my judgment lately. It's really annoying. Dude, that's smart reuse. Look. So, okay, what the heck are we looking at here? So, this is the bottom of the rocket. ULA has been working on this, or been saying they've been working on this concept for a really long time. Basically, instead of bringing the whole first stage back on their rocket, they'll jettison the engine section, it'll pop off, and it'll parachute down, and looks like it'll land floating in the water. See these two nozzles right there on either side of the rigging? Those are, the engines would be pointed straight up. And it would make it so the engines don't hit the water. See? So like this is the bottom of the rocket. The pointy end would be this way in this regard. But this is only the engine section. It's a jettisonable engine section. That looks like test footage for a Vulcan engine section with floats on the sides. And it's obviously attached to parachute rigging somehow. What's the Garavan saying? That guy's cool. I like that guy. Yeah, so here. ULA Smart Reuse. So see? You have the rocket. The engine section pops off, right? There's a heat shield. There's a heat shield on this side. Most likely an inflatable one that deploys and shields everything. And then the heat shield pops off, and then the engine section parachutes down, and you can either catch it with a helicopter, or from what I can tell here, that looks like they put floats on it, Apollo capsule style. The reason it's easier to bring this back with parachutes and floats like a capsule, because bringing back an entire first stage, you can ask SpaceX how difficult that is, and they make it look easy too. That's cool. It's cool to see some competition in the reuse market. See, that's part of the reason why I like Tory Bruno so much. If you asked him that same question about, you know, sustainability and demand with rockets, he'll say the same thing that I just said, guaranteed. Like, and once again, I don't speak for the guy, you know, but I'll you could ask him, you know, like, do you think reusability or expendability is the way to go? And he would say it depends on demand, which means that doesn't matter. If you have demand for that many rockets, it doesn't matter if your rocket's reusable or expendable. He'll tell you the same thing. Seems like that will crush the nozzle. The nozzle's pointed upright in this, from what I can tell in here, Hellfish. Those are the nozzles right there at the top. The nozzles are pointed this way. And the floats are where the heat shield would be in this. Yeah, see, in this animation, it's... In this animation, I mean, this is just an animation, but if you look at it, the heat shield would be on one side, right? Why would you put parachute rigging in front of your heat shield like that? No, the parachute rigging is going to be on the bottom of the rocket. The engine section won't do a 180 after it jettisons its heat shield. How is it going to do that? How's it going to do that when it's traveling ballistic, heat shield first? No. It's going to pull a drogue chute out the back, right? The heat shield pops off like that, and it's going to land upside down. Engine section... Engine's pointed towards the sky. I don't understand any other way you're going to do that without the engines getting inundated with salt water, in which case they're pretty useless. Oh my gosh, it's an engineering nightmare. All the plumbing to be disconnected and then covered with an on-demand heat shield. Not as far-fetched of an idea as you might think. It's not as far-fetched of an idea. Early Atlas missiles had a jettisonable engine section.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Atlas missiles, so SM-65s. The engine section popped off, and the core stage turned into an upper stage. Jettison the dry mass. Same idea as staging. Load plate downward. Precisely, Vaxhawk. Yep. So, picture how the Russians make RD-170s. They manufacture them upside down, like that. That's how it's going to land in the water, just like that, with the nozzles facing towards the sky. Just like this. So, the floats in Tory Bruno's thing, the floats right there, and then, no, they're not going to do it with an RD-180, just in case anybody gets confused. The floats are right here, and the parachutes are right there. It's the same idea, but obviously they're not going to do that with an RD-180. I mean, maybe they would. I don't know. I don't think the newer Atlas can do that, but older Atlases could jettison the engine sections just like that. Mm-hmm. It's not anything that hasn't been tried before. Honestly, you take away the engine section, what's left? A metal tube, and that's cheap and easy to make. Yep. Does that make sense, dudes? It's not anything that hasn't been tried. Now, because look, the way I'm thinking is if you could jettison that thing, you could fit a heat shield in there. If they could jettison enough that all the fuel lines close and get out of the way to ensure that nothing hits that center engine right on an old Atlas missile, you could do that nowadays. That's really not an issue. I don't see that as a problem. I see that as, utilizing something that we haven't utilized before. Also, sustainer engines are really freaking cool. That's a really cool idea. It's pretty complicated in terms of the seals for the feed lines. Yeah, you're right, Novus. I mean, if you want the rocket to do more things, it's always going to be more complicated, though, right? I mean, like I said, that doesn't mean that's anything that hasn't been tried before. Don't you want the fuel lines as straight as possible into the engines? Yeah, I mean, more or less, yeah. I mean, you don't want your pipes making some crazy bend because then you could get cavitation in the line. But if I'm thinking about this correctly, you're more likely to get cavitation in the line from, like, improper thermals, from not thermally conditioning the motor correctly. But, I don't know, maybe. Victory with a 48-month resub. Thank you very much. Okay. But it's cool that ULA is even looking into it. I think that's really neat. Would the material be strong enough for re-entry, yet pliable enough to inflate? We've made stuff with floats attached to the side cake. I don't think those spherical floats are the heat shield. I think this would have jettisoned the heat shield. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe. Yeah, caveman, for sure. I missed trains again, didn't I? Yeah. Yep. Alright, guys. Sorry, I'm just freaking reading something. I'm not much of a morning person. Sorry. I guess. Sorry, Thunderwolf. I mean, yeah, I was really mostly figuring out how to place rails, like, succinctly. Because, yeah, the Railroads Online is early access and it shows. But they're making it better. I mean, I try to look past the clunky controls in an early access game. Like, that's one thing I would excuse. If this was a release and it had those, I'd be like, what are you doing? But I know that Railroads is early access. I know it's early access, and, you know, because of that, I know, you know, you don't need to go like, oh, well, your control system is messed up. No, it's not. I know that. Well, the question I asked the developers themselves was, are you going to, you know, do you have plans to redo this? And the answer was yes, absolutely. So, yeah, the controls are a little bit clunky right now, but they could, you know, they'll be better in the future. Inflating the floats is likely a heat shield jettison method. Well, that's a good idea, Sword, and that's, you know, a float that does two things. It's a float and a decoupler. Yeah, developers actually using early access. Yeah, exactly, Mutter. I try to look past all that stuff, guys. I try to look, in early access games, I try to give the benefit of the doubt. And I've been pretty right every time. I was right with Satisfactory. Satisfactory is a fun game. It's the multiplayer client that sucks, but they're fixing that. I was pretty right with Icarus. Icarus is really fun. I was right with Satisfactory. I said Satisfactory is very solid for what it is, but the controls were a little clunky at release, or when it went into early access, not release. Kerbal had clunky controls, but I saw the potential with that. I've been pretty good about, you know, predicting games that are really fun, games that I think people would like. Like, it's like STEM games mostly, you know? But, yeah, who knows? Alright. See you on the track. Is it time to race, dudes? I think it's time to race. All right. Roblox, what are we racing tonight? I feel like such a dick asking, dude. I know we were racing something. This is a long one, isn't it? Hunt the streamer? No. This is Aceto. Daytona Road, a little preview of next week's 2.4. That's pretty neat. Hellfish. Nice. Bet you that thing screams. All right. I think that's going to do it. Let's do some racing. How many laps are... You know what? I'll just ask in Discord. Thoughts on Gran Turismo 7? Cake, I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize there was a Gran Turismo 7 until someone asked me about it like 2 or 3 hours ago. So, I'll ask you, I'll answer the question with a question. There's a Gran Turismo 7? Yes, and it looks awesome. It's exclusive for PS5. Yep. Yeah, no. PS4 and PS5? I don't remember if I have a PS5 or not. Call me a piece of crap, dude, but I haven't touched a console in freaking years. Amazon was shipping it a week early on accident. Nice. Nice. Did you buy a thing that looks like a router recently? No, I haven't, but dude, I haven't bought a console, RB. I don't even know what consoles I have. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what console, I don't know what the newest Xbox is. I think we have an Xbox One, and Brimo, it's in my living room, and Brimo uses it to watch streams. Yeah, that's what it's used for. There is an insane amount of cars to drive in the game. Got to be over 200 cars. Do we have a list? Do we have a list? This is a list of all the cars currently featured in GT7. The game is said to launch with over 424 cars. Ooh. Ooh. Nice. Ah, I got some Alpines in there. Oh, an A110. That's a cool car. Look at that thing. '70 Super B. Nice car. There's a crossbow in it. That's cool. 787B. That's cool. You know what? Let's just, hold on. Let's just go up here. Raptor, GR Rally Car, RS, ST, both of the GTs, GTLM, GT40, Mark IV, Mark IV GT40, nice, Boss 429, GR3. Oh, nice. Very good. GRB Rally Car. Who designed this? GT Premium Fastback. 71 Mach 1. 2016 GT 350. Hang on one second. GR3. Stop it. GR3 road car. I use an NES, SNES, N64 GameCube, and PS2. No Frabin, no Tough Enough, literally unplayable. I mean, it's a nice car list. It's alright. Yoshiko, thanks for the awesome content. Keep up the good work. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Alright. Let's race. We're racing tonight, dudes. Nice, Penta. Random EV musings. Would you rather see a Lincoln Mark E or a Mercury Mark E? Mark E, Maslam, not a marquee. They have the Pikes Peak Hill Climb license yet. They have the Pikes Peak Hill Climb license yet. No mention of it if they ever make an appearance in GT7. Here you go. Oh, that's neat, Hellfish. And you know what? To cap off Space News, I have the SLS footage. Here, check this out. This is some B-roll footage of the hydrogen tank for the Core Stage 3. Yeah, baby. Is that stainless steel? Nope, aluminum. Aluminum friction stir welded. Yeah, guys, the Artemis 3 core stage is almost done. That's really freaking cool, man. You have any idea what you could do with the aluminum cylinder? Don't drop it. So now they're now what I think the next thing that they're gonna do is take it over to the spray-on foam insulation area, and they're gonna hit this thing with a They're gonna hit this thing with a coat of the orange foam. Actually, they already did that. Yeah, see, there's that the engine section simulator. Pray to God you don't grab that thing. Store grain. Good answer. Yeah, see, this is where they paint it. They're gonna paint it with the orange foam in here. It's a koozie for it, man. Yeah, let her down. And then drive the weird-looking Kerbal vehicle away. That is a strange-looking vehicle. Talk about purpose-built. There's the engine simulator.